Hello, and good evening to. That's a terrible way to start the show. Good evening to Savva Talks Spurs. I am Savva, and this is Kuva 99. Kuva, how are you, sir? Talk to me.
Still got COVID, but doing well. Just managing to keep streaming and having silly arguments with Sean on Spurs talk show for no reason, but it's been entertaining anyway. Having a laugh.
No, well, listen, you can continue those arguments on because he's joining us in about 20 minutes. So, first of all, thank you for joining. I was on a stream with you earlier, a stream now. It's almost as though none of us have any jobs or anything else to do other than Tottenham Hotspur in our lives. Welcome to everybody in the chat. We will be joined shortly by Sean Butler, and we will also be joined by Bob Spur, who is just currently cleaning up all the Kleenex tissues after his conversation with a legend by the name of Gary Mabbitt. So today's show, let's talk 10 minutes about football. I say football, current affairs, and then I'm going to go through my best 10, and then Kuva, I think you've got 4 or 5 that aren't on my list. So we will talk about your 4 or 5 afterwards as well and see where we land. Kuva, talk to me. I'm hearing, I've got to sound like an in the know, everything I hate about life. All the talk saying that the deal's going to be announced tomorrow for Richarlison. No one can seem to tell whether it's going to be 50 million, 60 million, 40 million plus winks. So let's assume it happens tomorrow. What's your excitement levels at?
I'm not ecstatic about him signing. It's just what we need. It's a kind of a functional signing that improves this squad overall. I think he's going to be sort of competing for places and filling in with it when there's injuries anywhere across the front three. And as we've talked about constantly, it's that versatility that makes him so valuable to us because we don't want a Lucas Moura filling in for the likes of Kulusevski. We don't want him filling in for the likes of Sonny. Can Richarlison play as well as Sonny or Kane? I don't think so. Can he fill in adequately for them while they're out for a bit? Yeah, of course he can. Can he play alongside them? Yes, of course he can. So he's a seasoned pro in the Premiership, and even with a crappy team like Everton, he's been banging a few goals in, doing a great job for him. It's unbelievable how difficult it is for a striker to play as a lone striker at times. He's been forced to do that for big parts of the season. He also plays out wide, and people go, "Oh, he doesn't get many goals." When you take it all into consideration, he's got a fairly healthy goal return because he is that utility player. So I think it's good stuff for the team overall. Excitement level 5 or 6. It's not a stellar one, is it?
Yeah, I think that's how I feel about it. It's one of those, isn't it? You know, when we first talk about a player that's rumoured, there's the initial feeling you get, right? So my initial feeling is, oh, no, not him. And then I think the more you think about it, you don't have to be excited about every signing. For me, I think it will come down to, and again, I know we're going to, that phrase that I love to use, you know, it's not my money, but if they come out and it was a 60 million signing, I will be a little bit underwhelmed that would be our club record signing for a bloke that doesn't just go straight into the team and doesn't fill you with that he's going to be our best player. But it is what it is. Like you said, he will grab goals. He will add a different dimension. He's not used to being rotated. He's going to have to be, right, at Spurs?
Yeah, of course he is. I think he's going to be fine with it because Champions League football, Conte as a manager,
right?
Kane and Sonny there alongside him. He's going to realise sometimes there's times to step down, need to be given a breather, rest a bit. Even Kane and Sonny are going to have to get used to that now because that's the whole point in it. It's squad rotation, keeping everybody fresh. You don't play every game anymore. That was so vital. That's why it's such a good signing for us. So I think the money, forget the money. It's irrelevant. You could argue that it's even cheap for the going rate for a proven striker in the Premiership nowadays. If you want an elite level, you're talking 200 million, aren't you? It's like those sort of prices. But if he'd been English, again, slap another 60 million on, wouldn't you? It's ridiculous money, but it is what it is.
Absolutely, the best saying in life. Let's just read out a few comments. Shower Posse has said Sean versus Kuva is better than Stelios versus Twitter. Yes, I mean, I think that yes, but Sean versus Kuva is friendly. Stelios versus Twitter is Stelios defending himself. But Luan said, is this top 10 Spurs players currently, or is it Savva asking Kuva his top 10? In the history, like he did to Graham, it's neither of those things. It's Savva's top 10. It's my ball. It's my playground. And if Kuva doesn't like it, he can leave. So, no, we're going to...
I'm just here to correct you, mate.
Listen, what it is, Luan, is Kuva's got about 20 years on me. So he's going to have a few players that I won't. But we'll get there. We'll get there in a bit. Why have children when you've got son? Has said Ao Savva. I just watched an ad on my show. Yeah, that means we're growing, my friend. That's good for me. And apologies if you had to watch 12 seconds of an advert. Apologies. Harmick has said, evening, gents, just started following. Welcome to you. Everyone is welcome. Where are we? Oh, there's a few people in here. So welcome to you all. Please smash that like button. And remember that any super chats, 50% goes to charity. You're going to hate me saying that over the time, but it's true. And it's a good cause. Mark Mabbitt Cousins. Mark, let us know. Did you see Bob Spur this morning trying to catch his breath?
Mark was working. He was
I didn't see it.
Ellie was messaging him. I messaged him. We wanted him to be there, but you can't help things sometimes.
Oh, dear. Well, Luana said, big up Savva and Kuva. Thank you very much. Scott Hynam back in the chat. Big up to all. Come on, you Spurs. Ben and his coffee have said, good evening, everyone. Let's be nice. Absolutely. Let's be nice. And the first super chat of the night. So thank you, sir. George Raffis TV said, evening, Savva, evening, Kuva. Savva, what do you think of this Richarlison deal? Not bad rotation player, is he not? Well, it's what we're currently talking about. So give me 1 second, George. Thanks for the super chat. And thank you for helping charity. Dave Raybold is in the chat saying Richarlison is a no-brainer. I know that's not popular, but he's what we need. He's better than what we've got by a mile. PB and Jam, I personally don't mind the shithousery, which is a word I was going to ask you about. Dave said, I just can't understand the Bergwijn propaganda. He was a complete and utter failure at Tottenham Hotspur. Seconds out 98, pace, power, determination. He can nick goals. Prem proven, good signing. I have a feeling that there's some funny accounting going on for this transfer. Let's talk about that, Kuva. So let's quickly talk Richarlison. As we were saying, yeah, I kind of get the feeling that this isn't going to be here's 60 million. I feel like we're going to have, Winks is going that way, and there's going to be some sort of ambiguity. I sort of said that as though it was 2 words, didn't I? There's going to be some ambiguity as to how much did we actually pay, what was Winks' worth, was any of the money off of the kind of Dele Alli deal going to be factored in? What do you think? A bit of all? Yeah,
I think it's going to be, isn't it? I mean, it's basically 2 chairmen coming together who both wheel and deal and like to put themselves about a bit. So could be a sort of quite a heated little discussion going on about it all, but I'm sure they'll come to a solution at the end. The one way to look at it for me is Everton are desperate for the money. We all know that. They also need to make sure their squad is filled out because player exchange deals in our case are dealing with them. It's a great move. Evening, Sean. It best of both worlds for both teams involved. They get the money, they get some players to fill out the squad. We get a player that fills out our squad at a decent price. I think people say it's too much, but I just don't see it that way. It's just going rate for what's needed. It's a good signing.
Fair enough. I'm going to come to Sean. Evening, Sean. How are you?
I'm good, fella. How you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah.
Groovy groove. How you doing, my friend?
Doing well, mate. Said hello already. I thought you were blanking me.
No, sorry. I had to change my audio. Dog Bugsy's being a dick and all that kind of shit. Yeah.
Just before I come to you, Sean, Wayne Holland, thank you very much for the super chat. Yes, it all helps. Listen, charity does not say no to 1p or 100p's. It's absolutely fine. Thank you very much. Wayne is, of course, a Leicester City fan. We've got Leicester City fans in here. We've got Man United fans. There's some Tottenham fans. I've been called a QPR fan before. So all the fans of all the different clubs are in here. Sean, we were just talking about, it looks like Richarlison's going to be wrapped up probably tomorrow, if not maybe Friday.
Yeah.
I think the general consensus is that it's a good squad player, but that no one's massively excited about. Would you go along with that?
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. We spoke about this on your channel. Was it yesterday or the day before? I forget now. Every day merges into one. I'm with you on 100% on Richarlison. Like, I'm happy with him at the right price. I don't think the right price is the price that we're probably going to end up paying.
Yeah.
Does he make us better than what we have? Yes. But my reservation is that I don't think we should be dropping that much money on a player that I don't believe is going to play as many minutes as other people think he probably could or would or should, pending injuries. He makes us better, but you know what? A lot of players make us better. I worry about the amount of money it's taking out of the pool for other players. And none of us know what the budget really is, but we don't need to know what the budget is to know that there's 60 million quid less in it with Richarlison coming to Tottenham.
Mate, I tell you what, that's it. And guys, just so anyone who's just tuned in, thank you. You're more than welcome. We will be going through my favourite top 10 players. Then if there's any that Sean and Kuva would add in, we will be talking about those as well. So a little trip down memory lane. Sean, I agree with you. Look, I'm not an accountant. I'm normally one of those, I don't care. I'm also aware that we aren't a club that just chuck money at it. So, for example, if Chelsea go out and go, there's 60 million on Richarlison, you always know, they might have another 200, 300 that they can call upon.
Bottomless pit of money that they can...
Right.
Yeah. We don't have that. Yeah.
My concern is if you do spend, and look, we've just said it, I don't know if you caught this off air, we've just said it, there might be Winks going the other way, or there might be some of the money coming off of Harry Winks. Bob Spur will come to you in 1 second. Welcome. Thanks for putting away the Kleenex. My worry, Sean, is if we get to the start of the season and that right wing back or a centre back and we skimped out on that because 60 million was spent on Richarlison, that's where I will feel cheated.
Yeah. Can I just quickly want to jump in? I don't want to drag up a conversation that we've been having all day and all last night, but Kuva and Bobby will know the specific conversation I'm talking about. If we sign Richarlison, for me, my 7 out of 10 that I've given the window thus far probably drops to a 6 out of 10 thus far if we get Richarlison. It probably makes your number go up, right? It probably makes Bobby's number go up, but my number comes down a little bit because I worry about what that leaves in the pot to Savva's point. Savatici. I'm in the know. Just quickly, Jay Ashraf has said, hi, Savva and Kuva. Not the other two. We don't like the other two. No. You probably weren't on. Please don't forget to mention Naeem. I mean, spoiler alert, love Naeem. He's not made my 10. Should have, just because of what he did to Arsenal. And he said, do I have any plans to bring Flav from the Fighting Cock onto my show? Enjoyed my discussion with him on my podcast a while back. That was a very long time ago. I had a really Flav
good
and
chat.
Sav and Flav.
Yeah, Flav and Sav. I had a great time with.
He's a TV personality now, isn't he?
Well, I don't have his details. Look, the problem I have now is I can only speak to YouTube stars. Right, I'm not on Twitter, so I don't know the Twitter crew. But if you speak to him, I'll happily have him on. PB and Jam, the best picture ever. Hi, Mr. Busy Man. How's it going, guys? Perchy, we are good. Good evening, Sean. It's good to see you.
What's happening,
That sounded
Lukey?
sexual.
How you doing, Luke?
7 out of 10.
No.
That's a wind-up.
Don't forget to mention Dembele. You'll have to wait and see. Clive Wilson and Steve Carr. That's three random players. Let's just quickly go. We've got another super chat from Mark Mabbitt Cousins. I have watched it and I'm agreeing with Envy. Bob, he's talking about you speaking to Gary Mabbitt. Just quickly, Bob, welcome to the show.
Evening too.
How was it?
Oh, mate, I'm probably the only one who can say that Gary Mabbitt called me while I was having a poo. No one else will ever be able to say that. I'm sure there's some people out there.
So you shit yourself when he called you?
Yeah. But no, I'm still on cloud nine, mate. Kuva came on afterwards and he was emotional. Try speaking to him, and he was going over the year and everything, what he's been through and basically speaking about what I'd gone through earlier in the year. It was beautiful, man. It was beautiful, and it's just made my year. And as cheesy as it sounds, I was looking for something to say, right, my journey to rehabilitation and is complete. Today's, I'd go as far as saying, it's complete. Just perfect, man. Perfect. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. And thanks to the likes of Paddy Harnett, Brian Daigle, and most importantly, Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, who don't get as much credit when they do something good. So big up Tottenham Hotspur Football Club to making that possible. Absolutely brilliant. And obviously they've
well done, Tottenham. Sorry, do you mean Brian Bagel?
Yeah, Brian Bagel. Yeah, the traveller.
Yeah. Soon to become Drain Bagel at some point.
You know why he's Brian Bagel? It's because there's holes in his leave me out argument.
Oh. Read the room. Wrong crowd. But just one thing on what Sean's just said, mate. If we sign Richarlison, it'd go down to a 6, and I'm assuming that's because we haven't got the players in, or we probably miss out on the players that you want in ideally. It kind of defeats your object then. It kind of defeats your argument, doesn't it, Sean? Because if we start going by that, we're fully entitled to give it a 5 for the players we've not signed.
Wait, sorry. Explain that again.
So you say if we signed Richarlison, it'd go down to a 6, regardless of who we sign later
going
on.
Forward. Yeah. 100%.
Well, then surely
I'm judging. The question originally was up to now, and yesterday.
Oh, no, we're doing it again.
No. Just to clarify, but as if tomorrow morning we sign Richarlison, he's not someone that makes my. I'm not excited about him. I spent the last 2 hours on Wheel Tottenham TV explaining why. I think that if you were to then judge the window up till now, regardless of what happens after that, my number would go from a 7 to a 6 because I don't particularly want Richarlison as part of that.
Yeah, I suppose that's our argument. If regardless of what happens later on, it'd remain a 4 or a 5. But sorry, Sav.
No, you're good. I'm going to chuck something out there. And somebody messaged me, one of my mates messaged me earlier about this. He's actually a Chelsea fan. And he said, do you think that they might be buying Richarlison, by they means Tottenham, they might be buying Richarlison to play where Kulusevski does? And Kulusevski could possibly adopt that right wing back position. I don't see it as a goer, but I much prefer that than Emerson, Royal, or Doherty. What's everyone's thoughts? Any legs in it?
I prefer Kuva a right wing back to Emerson or Doherty, but it just gives us options, Sav, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think Danny's spoken quite a lot about the Rafinha and Richarlison debate or comparison, and he's right. Rafinha is the better footballer. He's got probably a bit more of a skill set than Richarlison, but Richarlison does bring in options, and that's what we want. That's what we want. I'd rather have a single Richarlison as an option up top than a Rafinha or a Lucas. With regards to pushing Decky back to right wing back, I don't want that. Kulu was it was prominent towards the end of the season, and that run of 7 wins in 9 games, he was left, right, and centre. And if you want to see the ideal comparison between what Lucas can bring to the game and what Kulusevski can, it's that Leicester game. Lucas had his chance. Go on, son. We're resting Kulusevski. Go and show what you're made of. He flopped. Kulusevski came on the 55th minute and was in the conversation to get man of the match. So, I think we'd lose more by moving him out of the left wing position. I'm not saying it's a definitive starter week in, week out, but we'll probably lose more out of that right forward position than actually we'd gain by putting him back into a right wing back position. Personal opinion.
Okay, Sean Coover, can either of you, would either of you make a counter argument to that, or are we all sticking with Kulusevski just in that one position?
Yeah, no, I don't like. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, go on, mate.
Sure. Okay. I don't fancy Kulusevski at right wing back. I don't think he has the legs to be able to burst past players from what I've seen so far. I do think his speed is actually better than people give it credit for. I think he's deceptively quick over short periods. I just don't think he's got a massive long stretch on him. I don't think he can do it. Kind of like Cooper used to say, he was like faster than everyone in his youth, 0 to 50 meters, but over 100 meters he might be caught. I think the same could be said for someone like Kulu. Deceptively quick, but not quick enough on a sprint. So I don't think he suits. I also have never really seen him beat a man and smash it. So I don't think he'll fit the right wing back. So I don't agree with the premise. Although, not to take away from the argument, I was talking to Sim earlier and he positioned Anthony Gordon, who's one of the players from Everton who might be linked with us. And he said, Sean, what do you think about him at right wing back? And I hadn't thought of it, but I do think he's someone. If you look at his off the ball stats, you won't easily find them. But if you can find them, I saw them earlier on in the season. They are phenomenal. His distance covered in the game is better than any other Everton player. He's super well, he's rapid enough. He's obviously got his trickery with his feet. So if we get Anthony Gordon as part of the Richarlison deal, then I'm starting to worry a little bit less about getting a Jed Spence in. I think that he might be able to be the right wing back. The answer there. I don't think Kulusevski is.
Okay, just before I come to Kuva, there are 81 people in this show. I have assembled a wonderful, a model-like boy band-esque looking panel for everybody, and only less than half of you.
It's called Wrong Direction.
Wrong direction. Hit the like button, people. It helps out. It's free to do. And as always, if anyone wants to put in a super chat, 50% does go to charity. Kuva, while people are smashing that like button in the background, are you with the other two on this?
Yeah, I don't see Kulusevski as being the right wing back because for that reason alone, it's the acceleration part of it. If you're going to cover that role, you've really got to be quick out of the blocks to react when we lose the ball quickly. Make the recovery runs. Ideally, he could do it at a pinch. He's clever enough to do it. He reads the game well enough to do it. But I look at it more as a case of there's some flexibility there with perhaps at times we might want to have Kulusevski drop into the middle, playing as a sort of emergency cam type player. And Richarlison can hold the right wing back, or pushing him into the middle with Kane at times. Because we've got the option now of start playing with four quality players at the same time up front when we're chasing a game or we're looking to hammer home a few extra goals when we're well on top and they're offering nothing in the midfield and from the opponents. So there is versatility to be had, but I don't see right wing back as being part of it. It's just not worth it. It's far better to have a more specialised player for it.
It's an argument, isn't it, Sav? A lot of people tend to, everyone's entitled to opinion, but I never like the statement or the narrative that, if we miss Kane, we can put Sonny up front. Why?
Yeah,
Sonny's the best left forward in the world, in my eyes. Why weaken one position? Unless we got a Son-esque replacement, why move him into the middle and make our left-hand side weaker? Richarlison coming in possibly could give us that option of pushing Sonny inside because we don't know what Richarlison's going to bring. But right now, if people say, don't we need a striker, a backup striker, which is a term I hate, but we don't need a backup striker because we've got Sonny there. No, not for me, man. Not for me.
Okay. So look, what we're going to do, we're going to move on to the point of the show, if that's okay, gentlemen. And what we're going to do is
self-indulgent part of the show ever. Let's all talk about Sav's best 10 players.
Listen, look, imagine if I asked everybody to do their best 10, we'd be here forever. So
I got my 10. You got my 10.
Have I got it? Where have I got it?
I sent it earlier.
Yeah.
And two Tremors.
Oh, I see. Yes. Yeah. Well, listen, we both got Raziak in there, so it's like for like. It's like for like. I'll never forget that transfer window.
Gregor Raziak
on the last day of the window.
The only man that can jump for a header and end up less high in the air than he was.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So, guys, I'm going to go to the first. So, listen, what I've done, I've put together my favourite 10 players that I've ever seen. So, you're not going to see Jimmy Greaves in this group. You're not going to see Mackay and Blanchflower and Ardiles and Villa and those types. So, this is the best that I've seen. I'm going to go through it. I want you guys to give me your opinions on them. Tell me if I've rated them too high, too low, and then Kuva's already given me 4 or 5 that he would have had, and then Sean and Bob write a few down in your way. We'll talk about those as well.
Savva, to be fair to you, can we have a cut-off year that you've taken it from that point onwards?
Yeah, so I went to my first Tottenham Hotspur game in 1985.
How old are
So
you?
it's unfair on Kuva because he went to his first Spurs game when they were formed. So it's
Kuva saw the double winning team of 61, did he?
I did see us get relegated. I'll put it that way.
Savva, how old are you that you went to your first game in 85?
I went to my first game when I was 3. I'm 40 in about 3 months. No, that's bad maths.
3 years old. Do you remember?
I was taken to my first game when I was 3.
Surely you can't like do you recall it at all, or?
I mean, look. Wait until you see how many players are from 1985 before you worry about my.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? I haven't picked just like the teams that won the cups in the 80s. I think there's maybe one from that era. But yeah, when I was 3,
my first game was when I was 5, and I don't remember the game, but I remember being in the crowd and what it felt like. That's it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't remember when I was 3. I just remember, like, from about 5, I remember, just being shoved about. And it wasn't like now. It wasn't luxury, was it? It was everyone treading on everyone and walking in sort of horse shit and all that kind of stuff. Look, my first player, I'm going to put this guy in at number 10. Fun enough, I'm going to go backwards if I can find it. Number 10 is this guy.
Teddy, El-Tel.
Mr. Edward Sheringham. Guys, you go first. Too easy for me to tell you each time if I go first. Talk to me. Teddy Sheringham. How good was Teddy? Am I right to have him in my top 10? And what sort of a player was he? Let's start, Bob. Take it away for me.
What was he scored the first ever goal on Sky Sports, didn't he? Forest v Liverpool. Cut inside.
First ever Sunday game, I believe.
Sunday, that's it. Yeah, Super Sunday. So cut inside and scored, and learnt his trade under Cloughie. Part of the famous 5 up front. And if I'm right, I don't know. And please tell me. Obviously, Kuva's been going 35, 40 years longer than me. But wasn't he the first striker playmaker? I can remember. I know we've had many playmakers at Spurs, but to be a striker and come deep and play the likes of a Klinsmann, a Barnby, Anderton. For me, he was the first of a kind. And worked well in international level as well with Shearer and the whole SAS. Yeah, for me, I think his passing was underestimated. I didn't see it while he was at Forest, but when he came to Spurs, under Ozzy and the many managers he had, I think it was very prominent. His passing was out of this world. His link-up play. I still remember his hat-trick of the last day of the season against Norwich, or 4 goals, I think it was. 2 headers one was from outside the area. Yeah. Unbelievable. Brilliant player.
Everyone in the chat, tell us your memories of these players as well. Yeah. I mean, let me come over to you then, Kuva. I mean, Teddy Sheringham, does he, not now, not at his age, even though I watched him for Soccer Aid the other day and he's still got some great touches. A peak Teddy Sheringham, does he get into our team now? And what did you think of Teddy?
Yeah, he'd get into our team now, I think. I'm going to say something really controversial. I'd have him over Harry Kane.
This is what we needed. This is the controversy. Why?
What?
It's intelligence. His intelligence with the use of the ball is just insane. It's part of Harry Kane's game, but Teddy Sheringham was the first one doing that. well, I don't know. Instead of Kane,
Is Alex like somehow taken over your body? Spirit?
He is easily up there. Also, that's all I'm going to say. He's a top quality performer, without doubt.
To be fair, it was a Forest reject, wasn't he? It was a Forest reject.
It was a Forest reject.
I think the thing.
Before I lose all respect for you, just retract that. Harry Kane over Teddy. Just come on, mate. Come back to me, Alex.
I think the difficulty with that is that if people look purely at volume of goals, I'm not saying Sheringham didn't score a lot of goals, but purely at volume of goals, then yes, it's Harry Kane. I think Teddy Sheringham, though, for up there.
Don't say he scored better goals than Harry Kane. Don't say that.
Listen, for me, it's not better. Listen, if the ball goes over the line, it's a goal. But for me, it was just how Teddy linked play.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing this is what I can say as well. There are three players that have said that Sheringham was the best player they ever played with. Yeah. One of them is Alan Shearer, who's the Premier League all-time top goal scorer. The other one is Jurgen Klinsmann, who is a World Cup winning world-class striker. And the other one was Gascoigne.
Good old Millwall days. Yeah.
But for the Millwall days. Now, lots of people now, again, like Kuva, I'm not saying I think he's better than Kane, but for me, I think he's in that conversation. He was that that important to Spurs and that intelligent.
Yeah, for me, with a couple of exceptions, I would always pick the most intelligent, most skillful, technical ability players there are. And I do think Teddy Sheringham is above Kane in that respect. What Kane has going for him is he has all the strength, the raw strength to get him through a few things. And obviously Kane's great. So he's going to go down as an all-time great for us. Yes, of course he will. But for me, Sheringham just edges it because he does have that ability to work with the very best in the world and bring the best out of them. And I look at that Sheringham-Klinsmann partnership.
Oh, wow.
That was insane. And Harry Kane does not have that same experience or opportunity even. In
the good old days when I had a Twitter account, tongue in cheek there, but when I had a Twitter account and somebody asked me what was my all-time Spurs 11, and at that time I went for a 4-4-2 and I put Sheringham and Klinsmann up front. I didn't put Kane in. Oh my God. Can you imagine the backlash? Now, the only reason I did that was...
you wonder why you get shit.
I keep telling myself, and my fiance tells me that I get shit because people are jealous of this. Thanks. The money maker. Is that not it? She's looking at me going, no, I never said that. That was the thing for me. I would always say, if I was playing one up top on his own, Kane's my guy. If I'm playing a two, Sheringham for me just played that dropping in role that you referred to earlier, Bob, that one of the first players to do it, he played it to perfection with Shearer, with Klinsmann, Gascoigne, with York, with Cole, with Solskjaer. He won a treble. He was
Armstrong.
Pardon?
Armstrong.
Chris Armstrong. Chris Armstrong. Sean, let me bring it in. You disgust from you there. Disgust at Google's comment. Talk to me where this disgust is coming from.
Listen. My first season at Tottenham, my first ever game was the 94-95 season. I remember it vividly. I remember walking out under the lights. I didn't go to the first home game, but I went to the second. It was Monday night. And I remember it was against, it wasn't against, it was Everton, I think. And we won 1-0. Jurgen Klinsmann scored and he did the diving header. Right? I remember that. I remember that entire season fairly vividly. We finished 7th that season, which was a brilliant season considering where we were finishing every other year under that kind of Alan Sugar 10-year period. We were 13th. We almost got relegated 17th. Teddy Sheringham was a wonderful player. Don't get me wrong. But put him in the same breath of Harry Kane is an insult.
Not even Kane. In the same breath. Hang on. We're talking about
he's a great player, and a lot of people that grew up, like people that are our age, Savva, people that are our age, like we're going to have grown up when we were 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, whatever, that kind of teenage years. We're going to remember Teddy as being big part. He also, remember, he let us down. He went off to Man United and then came back with his tail between his legs, right? So
did we let him down? Did he let us down, or was it just like Carrick, like Berbatov, like Modric, like Bale? They all left to go and win things.
Yeah, but most of them didn't come back. Teddy did. I don't know. Listen, I've got no hate for Teddy. I've got no hate for Teddy at all. But I love Teddy Sheringham. He was a great player. But I just don't think he's chalk and cheese. When you talk about the ability for Teddy Sheringham to be able to thread a pass, like this Harry Kane this season was the best number 10 in world football. He was coming back and picking the ball up on the centre circle and threading passes that Kevin De Bruyne would have been jealous of. I didn't see Teddy Sheringham doing that. Teddy Sheringham had an intelligence in his play, but I don't think it's even comparable to Harry Kane. I'm sorry, I just disagree.
You don't have to apologise. That's what this is all about. I mean, look, for me, Teddy was one of the best players I've ever seen at Spurs. Just through intelligence, and I think Pete said it just now in the chat. Said if he could have run quicker, he probably would have been world class and played for Real Madrid. However, we say Real Madrid at the time he went to Man United, who were the best team in the world.
Was he better than Matt Le Tissier?
Yeah. God, yes. I mean,
I can't. Yeah. Now I'm insulted, Sean. Fucking mate.
Now, Le Tissier, I mean, he's not made my list, by the way, because he didn't play for Spurs. Matt Le Tissier was he was a genius with what.
If we're going on this thing, was he better than Glenn Roeder? Because he had a lovely little shuffle on the ball. Silly behaviour. Silly.
Any more thoughts on Edward Sheringham, the treble winning striker that was the Premier League's first ever top goal scorer? Anything else we want to say about Mr. Edward Sheringham?
I'm quite happy to leave it at the point you made, Savva. When Jurgen Klinsmann and Alan Shearer rate him as the best strike partner they've ever had, you really ought to listen to that.
Yeah, but listen.
But who did Alan Shearer? Who else did Alan Shearer play with? What was the pool in talent?
Chris Sutton.
Chris
go.
Sutton. He would have played with Michael.
Chris Sutton. Yeah. Chris Ferdinand. Yeah. Go on. Name me some world class players.
Okay. But Jurgen Klinsmann would have played with players like Riedler. He would have played with who's the bloke that was spitting at everyone? Who was that bloke? Rudy Voller. Great player. Terrible phlegm, but great player. Great player.
Yeah.
Opposed to good phlegm.
Just so I understand, the rules of this particular game are. This is Savva's
agree with Savva.
Top 10. Top team, top Tottenham team in your lifetime since 1985.
It's not a team; it's just 10 players.
But our best 10. You can pick 10 forwards if you wanted to.
Yeah. No goalkeeper in my lifetime has made this list. I know one has made Couvers, but he is
top 10 since 1985. Okay.
Yeah. So again,
so we're okay with Teddy Sheringham. Can we reflect on this as we go forward?
We can reflect on it now. We can reflect on it tomorrow. We can do what we want, Sean.
No, I'm just not sure. I'm not sure if Teddy Sheringham was the best of the bunch you've offered so far, but you've only offered Teddy Sheringham. So I want to see where we go, and I might come back and say Teddy can drop out of that.
Put it this way, Sean, he doesn't make my list.
Yeah.
And I've just said that about him.
Yeah, I haven't written my list down, so I don't know. So I'm going to have to hear and think about
same here. You've told Shawnee it's a 24-hour stream, haven't you, sir?
It's 24 hours.
Standard, easy peasy.
Just quickly, Ben had said, big up the panel and the British Heart Foundation. Thank you very much, Ben. Appreciate that. And £1 of your money will go to British Heart Foundation, and then probably about 90p will go to YouTube. But thank you very much. Much appreciated. Gentlemen, are you ready for the next player in my list?
I'm getting a notepad out here, just so you know.
He's getting a notepad. Listen, I love this. I just like to make people think, thought-provoking.
I didn't know what I was walking into when I came on, so now I know.
Remember the words "thus far."
Yeah.
Thus far. Yeah. Okay, and don't forget, everyone in the chat, please get your comments.
Love you, Kuba. Love you.
I won't be able to read them all, but I will put them all on the screen. Number 9. Who's number 9 number 9 in my list. I think this is going to divide opinion, but it wouldn't be me if I didn't. I'm going to chuck it out as this guy.
Christian
Now,
Eriksen.
I was umming and ahhing with this. Now, the reason I was umming and ahhing is nothing to do with his ability, because he's a quality player, but just because there was so many I could have picked. But like I was saying off screen to Kuva, for me, and I'll start with you, Sean, for me, it was just our best years in the last 20 years coincided for me with Christian Eriksen as the heartbeat of the team. Yeah, so Kane and Son are still here.
He was phenomenal. Yeah, he was phenomenal.
Really, I just feel like something since he left isn't the same.
Correct.
The ability to control games.
25 points dropped from low block teams last season could have been solved if we still had someone like him. Yeah.
Right. So talk to me about Christian Eriksen. Am I rating him too high there at number 9?
Is he like number 9 of the top 10? So there's only Teddy Sheringham was slightly low. The other 8 are going to be better players. Is that how I'm reading this? Yeah. Okay.
Right. This is the way numbers work. 10 is less than 9. So,
I'm just figuring it out. So
Well,
Christian
we've only done
Eriksen,
10 thus far.
Christian Eriksen is the 9th best player that you've ever seen in a Tottenham shirt.
he's getting it, ladies and gentlemen. He's getting it. Yes. In number 9, in 9th place is Christian Eriksen. Talk to me about him, Sean.
He doesn't factor into the top 10 either, to be honest. Neither does Ted. Now I'm going. This list is madness.
Okay.
In terms of like the best 10 in the last 30 years, 35 years, 38 years, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And Christian Eriksen's number 9 on the list.
Yeah. Because
can you explain to me the credentials of what you are judging this on? Is it like games played? Like is it trophies won? Is it monumental moments? Is it game changing? What is the
Mate, if it was trophies won, this would be a very small.
Fine. But is it like? What is it? What are you basing these credentials on? I need to know what you're basing.
So
these on.
for me,
if it was trophies won, it would only be Bob and I talking, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Robbie Keane would be on there twice.
Look, for me, I just feel like in the last 30 odd years, I can't think if we've had a better playmaker. And for the amount of assists this man got, I believe in the 7-year period he was at Spurs, I believe it was only De Bruyne that got more assists and chances created in the whole of the Premier League. Bearing in mind, he never won a trophy. He was never in a team that was never won it. You know, he didn't have that luxury.
During the time he was at Tottenham, that 3-year period or 4-year, 7-year period, during that period. And then you compare it to De Bruyne's 7 years. The only person who's done more assists is De Bruyne. Is that what you're saying?
In Eriksen's 7 years, during that 7-year period, the only person in that 7-year period was De Bruyne that got more assists.
At the same time, I believe, from what I can remember, they both came in at roughly the same time as well. So it wouldn't be that much of a difference. Game assists per games played, Eriksen was second behind De Bruyne. I think he's pretty high up the chart at the moment. I know Ozil's up there, but we don't mention his name.
Yeah.
But,
So that was it for me. When you look at chances created, when you look at goals scored, when I look at his ability, when I look at the fact that Kane's goals have dried up. Sorry, that's the complete wrong term. Kane's goals are not where they were since Eriksen's left. His numbers have not been the same since he left.
Okay, so just want to say, are you also factoring in like his demeanour at Tottenham, the way he left? Do any of those factors come into play with your ranking?
No, because if I did that, then you'd have to factor that in with with Bale. You'd have to factor that in with Modric.
So it's just how they played when they played. That's all that you're basing on. Okay.
Yeah.
In that case, Christian Eriksen. Yes. I'm just trying to learning on the job. I think that Christian Eriksen probably is in there or thereabouts. He was a fantastic player when he was playing for Tottenham. Before it all went sour, I thought he was fantastic. But I do think the last year soured for me, and it probably ruined my appreciation of him a little bit, which is why I said if he comes back to Tottenham this summer, I'll get behind him. I'll scream his name, and I'll be I'll be all on board him coming back. If he decides to go to Manchester United, he's dead to me. I won't cheer his name when he comes back and puts on a Man United shirt and comes off the bench at Man United. Like, I'll forgive and forget if you make the right choice, bro. But if you go somewhere else, dead as a dodo.
That's assuming we've got a bid on the table, right? Yeah. Because if we haven't and he goes Man United, fair play to him. Yeah. He's there for us to take if we want. So let me ask then, Cougar. Lots of people will talk about that last year. I don't feel that about him for the last year because for me, I think he made it very clear, look, I'm not signing a new contract. Sell me. And Daniel Levy didn't and let his contract run down. And he went from being a player we probably could have sold a year earlier at 70, 80 million to 11 million to Inter Milan. Talk to me about that, but also Christian Eriksen, how good is he? How good was he for Spurs?
When he first arrived, he was a bit of an unknown quantity. I'd seen him in the Eredivisie a few times, but he's a youngster, so we had to wait and see. But he quickly developed into the kind of talent that I thought we should be building the team around. He was that good. He was just full of creativity, great passing, really intelligent player. Yeah. He ran all day. Very underrated part of his game was people say he doesn't tackle, he doesn't get involved in the press, but he was integral to the press because two other players would pincer the one player in. He would position himself to pick up the loose ball or cut off the pass to the only remaining player. That was his job. It was his job to get on the ball as fast as possible. And he kept doing it again and again and again. So his work rate was great. His eye for a pass was great. Everything was going great. But he did tend to disappear in big games for my liking. Far too often. Quite a lot of our players have got a habit of that, to be fair.
I was going to say, I can think of two forwards in our team right now that are guilty of that.
Unfortunately.
And if you say it, you get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, of course you do. Funny enough, Teddy Sheringham didn't, did he?
I believe Teddy might have scored in a Champions League final. I think
he might have. I believe he might have, yeah.
I think he might have, yeah.
Anyway, so Eriksen had it all, but for me, I've seen better for us.
Okay.
And for me, a lot better for us because
I'm sorry,
I've seen big name players who do turn up, and there's a difference. So Eriksen, very talented.
Can you give me a few?
No, wait. Before you do, Coop, I just want to let you know, I spent literally 30 seconds and I've written down 11 players that I would have above Christian Eriksen and above Teddy Sheringham.
As playmakers?
No, you didn't say that. It was just the top 10 players ever for Tottenham in your lifetime.
Yeah, no, look, okay, if we're going by that, then yes. But I mean, I was trying to get a mixture.
No, you said there wasn't a goalkeeper. You made the rules, bro. You made the rules, bro.
Do you know what? I'm not embarrassed by my choice. I miss Christian Eriksen. I miss having a guy in the midfield.
Nowhere near. It took me 30 seconds to come up with 11 players that are better than Eriksen in the time they played at Spurs. No chance.
Yes, but you've probably got Emerson Royal in your top 5, so it doesn't really count.
He would.
How's the top 5?
Give him a couple of seasons, we'll see what happens.
Kuva, anything else on Eriksen before I go over to the Gary Mabbitt fan club?
Yeah, just a player that did very well for us. We got very fond of for a good number of years, and then kind of really disappointingly drifted away. Partly his fault, partly Levy's fault for not realising we should have just sold him when things started to go stale for him. Because sometimes it doesn't matter how much players can love a club. Sometimes they just feel like things are going a bit stale. They need to move on, change of scenery. Even the great Glenn Hoddle wanted to go abroad at the end of his career. So, yeah, it just happens. It's unfortunate, but good player. Not enough for the best ever 10 for me, though.
Okay, so Bob, I'm going to come to you just before we do. Pete, thank you for the super chat, and apologies that on Twitter today that you were mistaken for being me. But thank you for having my back either way, Pete. Pete saw the messages I showed you earlier, Bob, where they were talking about me. Pete went in and said, guys, why don't you just why don't you go and talk to Savva face to face, pick up your issue with him? And the guy started going, yeah, all right, Sav, we know this is you type thing. And Pete was going, I'm not Sav. And he kept going, all right, Sav, I don't believe you. It's brilliant. Bob, Pete makes a good point for me. This is why I've got him in there. When Eriksen wasn't playing, the drop-off was huge. Any argument in that? Or Sean?
I think we just need to differentiate. I will put aside his shit show of the last year and a bit, because he was shit for us. Let's be honest. He did down tools and his heart was in it, but that shouldn't overlook the fact how good. I mean, I always make the, I don't know if Dele Alli's in there. I hope not, but he might be in there. But his last 3 seasons at Spurs were absolute shit. He was shit for us longer than what he was good for us.
Sorry. Sorry.
You can't say that while I was about to have a drink.
Sorry, Bob. If you ever mention me giving Dele Alli that much credit again,
I was going to say,
it'll be removed permanently. Dele Alli doesn't make my top 100, but as you were.
Yeah, I agree. But a lot of people go on about Dele Alli being the best thing since last spread because of his 2 years that were great.
Yeah. I get it.
It was worse for us longer than what he was good. With Eriksen, he was, in my eyes, and it's just about opinion, he was world class, man. When he was good for us, when he was on top of his form, his Kuva talks about his pressing game. He was topping our covered areas constantly, game in, game out. He was the hardest worker. He was making goals. He was linking up with Harry Kane, Dele Alli. I don't even want to talk about it, but he was instrumental in everything we had in midfield, and he was probably the best player to come in since Modric. I'm not liking him to Modric. Modric is miles ahead of.
He's not in my top 10 either.
Oh, mate, right, kick me off.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'll tell you what's funny. In the bottom corner,
so close to be doing the stream alone, mate.
In the bottom corner, I just see Sean scribbling down names like
he's not even listening. But no,
I'm listening. I'm making notes of people I want to.
Great player, Sav. But I agree with Kuv. Would he be in my top 10? We'll go to it a bit later, mate. My first game was an 81-80, so I've got a few more players to look at.
Look, guys, don't get me wrong. Look, there's a lot of players that are in my just missed it bucket. So
don't start bringing up the just missed it bucket. Let's get to your top 10 first, and then we'll ridicule you on that.
Is it?
Right.
Shawnee's currently surfing greatest Spurs players of all time. Beginners edition.
No, you know what he's doing? He's sending WhatsApp to Will to get the best stats of all the players in the last 30 years. And, Will, if you are watching, please feel free to come on. Do you want me to go to number 8?
Oh, I'd love to.
This player, I don't need to say anything.
Yeah, okay.
Matt Lucas,
yeah.
Of course.
I don't need to say anything either. Let's move on.
Right. I mean, Kuva. I mean, how good was? Look, I'm not saying I don't know, but how good, in your opinion, was Ledley, and how good would this lad have been had he not had all these injuries? And my follow-up question, and all of you, please factor this into your answers: if he had have kept fit, would there have been a danger that he would have done a Sheringham and a Modric and a Bale and a Berbatov and a Walker?
Oh, don't spoil the memory by suggesting that kind of thing.
I'm just saying he was that good for me. So Kuva, what we saying about Leds?
As far as I'm concerned, one of the most naturally gifted centre backs we've ever had. He is capable of getting into any side from any era for any team in the world. and not looking out of place. They may have players on par with him. It's going to be very difficult to say there was somebody better there. He is that good. He is, even when his reading of the game wasn't perfect, his timing of the tackle was perfect to make up for it. He could stretch out them long legs and recover from anything. There was that tackle against Robben, wasn't there, that everybody remembers?
Yeah.
Just come out of nowhere, could eat up the ground instantly. It was like he looked like the fastest, strongest, tallest player on the pitch every game. Yeah. And the fact that he would go a week with no training, much as Paul McGrath used to do for Man United, knee injuries, go a week with no training, just some swimming to keep his fitness level up, and then come in on a Saturday.
Yeah, that was mad. That was mad. It's a really good point, Cooper. I remember that. Yeah. He just swam the whole time, didn't he?
Yeah, and just come in and he's the best player on the pitch, or one of them, every single game. The bloke was just incredible. And if he had been fit, he hadn't got that knee injury. I agree. We would have been constantly nervously looking out the curtain, seeing if somebody's coming on with him for him with a massive bid. And we're not just talking Manchester United. We're talking Real Madrid. We're talking Barcelona, Juventus. Anybody in the world would have loved him in their team.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Can't really say any more than that. Absolute brilliant player.
If he's number 8 on your list, you've turned it around. I'm going to be interested to see 7 through 1, because he would have been far higher on my list than 8. So I'm interested.
Well, listen, it was difficult. I think the thing for me with Ledley King was I'll spoil it. He's the only defender in my list. There you go. I'll spoil it. I know. I'm sorry, Bob. I'm sorry. Mabbitt falls into that bucket that Sean doesn't care about. The just missed it bucket. But
for Tongan as well, there's loads of defenders, mate. That had the excellent.
Autumn fell well.
Kevin Scott.
Gary Doherty.
Gary Doherty, yeah.
He can play.
Luan's right though, Sav. Thierry Henry has been on record to say that he is the hardest defender he's ever faced. And Robben tackle we all know about. And Coover's right. He always came across as the strongest, the quickest, and tallest. He certainly wasn't the tallest. Yeah. Strength-wise, there were many strikers who were bigger built than him and looked stronger than him, but Ledley always came out on top. And with regards to pace, no one ever thought he'd beat Robben to that ball, and he had was about 25-yard start ahead of him. Slight exaggeration. But he still got there. And I think flexibility, what he brought ability-wise, the fact that Eriksen took him to the Euros or the World Cup, I can't remember, as a holding midfielder, because he considered Ledley King as the best ball player in that midfield. And Bob, he had to leave early, didn't he, because of a death in the family or bereavement.
Bob, do you remember, apologies if I get this year wrong, this is the best thing about having people in the chat, they'll always tell you right if you're wrong. I believe it was 2004, and the first group game England played, King played because I want to say Terry or Ferdinand, who were the partnership, one of them was injured or suspended. And I think we played France, and I think King got man of the match and was phenomenal. Yeah. And then in true England style, didn't keep his place and didn't play much again that tournament.
Didn't Ledley King score was it Sol Campbell or Ledley King who scored?
Don't get them mixed up, mate.
Who scored the disallowed goal? It was 98 and it was Campbell
in Argentina, which should never have been disallowed, but
good point.
Bloody
spoiler alert.
A crappy shit.
Oh, no!
Mate, no. I'm going now.
At number 7.
I'm leaving now, mate, honestly.
He's higher up than... No, he's not.
No.
He's not.
You haven't got another defender.
Listen, I don't want to lose subscribers at a rate of knots. So
probably should be on the list, though. If you're being fair, if you're being objective, he probably should be in the bucket.
Listen,
it's offshore.
Can we be honest? If he wasn't Sol Campbell, he would definitely be in the list because he was a world-class centre-back. But you just can't do it. Just quickly before we do,
Sol Campbell had been rubbish, we wouldn't have given him monkeys about him going to Arsenal, would we?
That's the thing. Just quickly, 62 likes. Let's see if we can get that closer to 75 to 100, please. And please remember, if you can give any super chats, 50% does go to the British Heart Foundation, and hearts are very important, just in case you didn't know. Sean, Ledley King, is there anything left to be said about him? What would we do for Ledley King now?
He should have a mural. Well, if Tottenham ever change their mind and start to go down the path of statues and all that stuff, then he probably would be up there on the list of potential candidates for one. If there was to have a part of Tottenham High Road that was just one every, like on Hollywood they have the stars. If you were to have like a little bit of a placard or something every 10 meters down the High Road, Ledley King would need something to recognise it. I don't disagree with you being on the list. Like I said a minute ago, I actually think that if he's number 8 on your list, all of a sudden I've changed my mind, and now I'm interested to see who's 7 to 1, because for me he would have been probably 3rd or 4th in my lifetime. I'm pretty much the same age as you, so we'll see where you're going from here.
And I agree with you, Sav. I do believe that if he didn't have those injuries and he carried on playing at the level he quite clearly was able to, he would have gone to a Real Madrid and Barcelona. And that's a massive compliment. It could have gone to Manchester United, the best team of that era, and made them better. And that's saying everything. They had the likes of Ferdinand, Vidic, Pallister, Bruce, and to say that he would have made them a better team. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with saying that, man. From where we were, for one of our players to go on to better themselves in a better team, and there's no doubt, man, he would have moved on and to a better trophy-winning team. And he would have deserved it. World class.
So let me just ask the last bit on Ledley King. Let's see if all of ours is the same. What's your biggest memory or your best memory of Ledley?
Oof. It'd have to be the holding up the cup, wouldn't it? Okay.
I did. My mind didn't go there. Going, all right, holding up the cup. One of only 3 captains in the last 30 years to do that. Kuva holding up the cup.
I think that whole cup win against Chelsea, the whole match, him and Woodgate, absolutely superb, absolute colossus, the pair of them. Culminates with lifting up the cup. So
Phil President, just quickly, I believe are we talking about that was a goal at, I want to say Valley Parade. I want to say away at Bradford for the quickest goal under Ledley King.
Was it Hull or Bradford?
9 seconds, wasn't it?
9 seconds, yeah.
I've got a feeling
Bradford it was.
Bit of a Davy cutter.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Right, okay, yeah. Isn't it, mate? Sean, just quickly, your favourite Ledley King moment? Both the guys have gone for the lifting the cup. Are you?
I don't know what, man. My memory's hazy from too much.
But Sean, the fact you're struggling to picture or think of a moment.
I'll be honest. I've had a good 20s and 30s. I'm not much stays in. I don't really remember
even Spurs back then. I don't know.
I don't remember individual moments.
Wasn't it? It was consistency, wasn't it? So it's very hard to pick up a game.
Yeah.
He was absolutely brilliant because he was.
Can I give you mine? Can I give you my favourite moment? I mean, aside from the cup.
Move on.
Right, moving on. My favourite moment was Tottenham-Chelsea, Arjen Robben through on goal, like what felt like about 20 yards ahead of King, and just from nowhere, King, who was deceptively quick, just
got back.
Just wow. And I think if I'm right, that was Aaron Lennon scored a winner against them, I want to say. Maybe the same game. Right.
Another one. If you see that tackle, watch what Robben's reaction is when he gets up. He actually looks back to see where he's just run from and thinking, how is that fucking possible? How did that happen? He actually looks back at his own area for what he's running and goes, how far away, how far did I run? Where did this guy come from? Brilliant reaction.
Just before we go on to number 7, because Sean is eager to see who number 7 is. If I've got King at 8, just say welcome to Aaron Dubb into the chat. Hope you're well, my friend. Mark is back with another super chat. Thank you very much, Mark. Much appreciated. We want Gary. Sorry, Mabbitt's in the bucket, mate. He's in that little bucket. I'm so sorry. I think it means Gary Stevens. Yeah. Gary Stevens. I coached with him at Charlton Athletic. There's a little story.
There you go.
Peter Simon said most underrated defensive
midfielder. Is
midfielder.
that the year they went down?
Well, and another super chat from Gugamar. Welcome. You seem to be in everyone's chats when it comes to Tottenham. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Hit the like button, people. Sorry, something's happening. Hit the like button. Please keep some.
He knows number 7 isn't as good as number 8. He's trying to clear his throat for a justification.
I just want to say, sorry, I've got a super chat and it is very generous. I don't know. Sorry, is that from you, Sean?
Yeah, it is, man. Yeah, it's all good.
Thank you very much, Sean. Much love. For that, I'm going to be nice to you the rest of the show. Thank you very much. That is much appreciated.
Double down, bro. Double down. I love the charity move, man. I think it's really cool that you're doing that.
But mate, listen, I'll always do it. Always will. Right, let's go to number 8. Let's go to number 8.
7. Number 7, isn't it?
7. This guy.
I've got notes. I got fucking notes, bro. Who's
Right.
7? Bring him up.
Who needs notes when you got Google?
Glenn Roeder.
I mean, guys, Jurgen Klinsmann, Kuva, I think we've talked about this a few times. This is the benchmark as to which I set my excitement for signings, right? This never since that signing, honestly, Bob, never since that signing has a player.
I thought he said sarnies as in sandwiches.
What?
I'm going to make it weirder and go,
yeah.
Anyway, for anyone who was listening, Cooper, we said it, didn't we? That was the first and last signing for me that made me as a fan go, wow, how have we got this bloke? Sean, do you want to start? I mean, Jurgen Klinsmann, you've just said, I think the first season you went would have been his first year at Tottenham. Sheringham, Dumitrescu, Popescu, Barmby, Anderton, and then absolutely no defence. Klinsmann, talk to me about Jurgen.
Yeah, the very first game I saw was him scoring the winner against 1-0 against Everton. My dad took me under the lights. It was a Monday night or a Wednesday night. I forget what it was. After school, he did the overhead kick and then he did the dive, like the diving dive bomber thing celebration. I fell in love with the man. I'm glad he's on your list, mate. He should be on the list. I'm trying to look up his stats. I don't know how he compares on a one season. I think he got like 20 goals that season, didn't he?
Yeah, and he came back more, remember? He came back.
Yeah, I know he came back for a second season, like 3 or 4 years later. But we sold him to Bayern Munich, I think. Yeah. After the first season, then he came back, and then after that, we sold him, I think, to Villa, like late on in his career. But no argument, mate. Him being in there, I think he was brilliant. And you know what I loved about him? It was probably the only time that people can really remember from the Alan Sugar era where Tottenham weren't staying in their lane. You know, people like Nick Barmby was a really exciting player that we brought in, but he was a kind of nobody. It was like an exciting young local, like northern boy. I think Middlesbrough or whatever. But Tottenham at the time were a team that were perennially somewhere between 10th and 14th, 15th. We were always there or thereabouts. And then we went and just made it. That was a statement signing, and it wasn't something that Tottenham were used to doing. And everyone, like, as I was a kid, but I was like, oh shit, Tottenham are doing things. Like, that's amazing. And then we finished 7th that year, which was like so outside of the normal. And then after that, we all kind of we regressed to the mean, and then we started signing people like Chris Armstrong and whoever else came along after that. And it just went back. But for me, it will always be embedded in my memory, that particular moment, that particular goal, that particular celebration. It was a wonderful, wonderful moment in the history of Tottenham. So I would have been annoyed if he wasn't in your list. I'm glad he is. So it's a good number, a good name, and probably 7th is probably right. I think. Yeah. So.
I feel vindicated by your approval, so thank you for that. Kuva, I mean, Klinsmann just had it all, and I think I want you to talk to me about this. Nowadays, it feels like modern world-class players, there seems to be a bit of a chip on the shoulder, a bit of an attitude. Klinsmann just felt like he was completely down to earth and just loved playing football. What did he bring to Spurs at that time?
You're right when you said it was that jaw-dropping moment when I learnt he had signed.
Yeah.
I can't quite remember what I was doing when I heard about 9/11. I remember exactly what I was doing when I heard Jurgen Klinsmann had signed for us. I'll put it that way.
Do you remember 9/11?
I only vaguely remember what I was doing that day. Don't know. It might have been
Different conversation.
Yeah.
Please don't go down that route, please.
Anyway, yeah, for me, ultimate professional. We've had a few of them over the years. This was the first one where I thought, you know what? There's these foreign signings come in that you're not sure about. This bloke is the real deal. Every little detail is perfect about him. He has no agent, negotiates his own contracts, drives a very modest car. He loves his VW.
Yeah.
He's not all about the flashy off the field activities. He's purely in love with the game. And it just oozes through everything he does on the pitch. And it is just an infectious level of enthusiasm for everything. Everybody around him, their game is lifted just by him being on the pitch. He's an immense player, legendary, not just for us, but legendary within the German game, well, the European game in general, world stage. Yeah. It's as big as it gets. This is a proper legend and World Cup legend. And he played for us, and he played alongside Teddy Sheringham. And that's why I have to put both of them at a joint eighth in head of Harry Kane. Because as much as I love Kane, these two together was just, it was sensational. It was absolutely mind-blowingly good. So if unless it's the fans from, our sort of age group that saw it, they're not going to believe that it's possible to be better than Harry Kane. But it was. There was a magical connection. Sonny and Kane almost have that same kind of connection at times. But these two, they're like the perfect fit in every way. Jurgen, the attacking, the focal point of the goal scoring abilities. Sheringham just dropping that little bit deeper. Perfect balance, perfect understanding. Oh my God, that was such a good time watching them two together. But he left after a season. But one season, and he leaves that impact on you. It says it all for me.
He came back. He came back, though, didn't he?
He did. Not
back and saved us from relegation.
He did well. He did well, but it was not the sensational impact of the first one. It couldn't possibly be.
True. 100%. Before you come to Bobby, Savva, just you said that you've got a whole bucket full of almost got-ins.
Yeah.
Is there any chance that at some point, maybe between now and the fit number 5, that you can drop 20% or 25% of your almost rands, just so I know where we're heading? Because I've made a list now of 50 players, and I want to scratch them off as we go through. It's like playing bingo. Savva's bingo.
When we finish talking about Klinsmann, I'll drop 2 in for you.
Okay, brilliant.
Just quickly, another super sticker from Gogama. Thank you so much. You are very, very generous. Again, look, Scott M, it's that ahead of Kane chat. Again, for me, Bob, since that signing of Jurgen Klinsmann, have we signed another player at the peak of their powers as good as Klinsmann? I'm not saying when they went on to be that, like a Bale, like a Modric, but world class at the time that every club around Europe would have been like, he's gone to the top.
The only person who really comes close to that is Van der Vaart, really. That's the only one I can
Edgar Davids.
think of.
That's another one I can think of. That perhaps they were at their peak when they arrived, but people didn't really associate them with being that sort of level.
Cool.
For me, that's Berbatov.
Oh, we're coming to. He's surely become. He didn't come at his peak. He came well below his peak.
Oh no, he was
with Edgar Davids, Sean. I thought he was on
maybe on the way down. Maybe on the way down.
On the way down. So
maybe,
for me, peak, he's 27 or 28. Van der Vaart, quality-wise, can't touch Klinsmann.
Van der Vaart was absolutely insane as well. He's
exactly. But Klinsmann, man, the picture on the yacht. He's I remember his first goal away to Sheffield Wednesday. We won 4-3, which was a typical performance from Spurs back then. And he dived, Sheringham followed, and then everyone else followed afterwards, and the 1-0 at home. I still remember the game away to Southampton in the FA Cup. I think it was Daigle's first ever game away from home. 6-2 at the Dell. We were 2-0 down, talking off Stuart Nethercott, getting substituted. And Klinsmann coming on and linking up with Barmby and Sheringham and Anderton in that game, ripped them to shreds. And of course, it was the Ronnie Rosenthal cup game where he scored a score. But for me, regardless of quality, he was that statement signing back then, and I don't think we've got close to it apart from Van der Vaart. But was Van der Vaart a global phenomenon like a Klinsmann? Probably not.
Yeah, I feel what was different for me, and here you go, I'll drop a name in, Sean. In my nearly bucket was Van der Vaart. He didn't quite make my top 10. I think the difference was it was that kind of last day, 8 million, wasn't getting a game at Madrid. Not knocking him, he was fantastic for us. And another one that sort of came and went really quickly, but God, did we love Van der Vaart. He got it, didn't he?
Yeah.
He got it.
Kim's favourites.
If he wasn't, I'm glad I've asked this like nearly bucket now, even though you mentioned it earlier, I dismissed it. I'm glad that we've come back to it because I need to write these things off. Otherwise, I'm not going to sleep easy tonight. Van der Vaart, if he didn't quite make your list, that's okay. He should be, as long as he was close.
Thank you.
Well, listen, look, Glenn had said Richarlison doesn't excite him at all. It looks like apparently Fabrizio Romano has said that it's all but done. Maybe if we do this again,
check up on that.
Yeah, if someone could check that up. If we do this again in 20 years' time, we could be sitting here saying Richarlison lifted us to the Champions League.
We will not be saying Richarlison. He'll be, in my opinion, he might do a good job next season, but in 3 years' time, he'll disappear off and we'll get very little money back on him. And he'll be someone that we know none of us even barely remember. It's
all about opinions, isn't it? Glenn, fair enough, doesn't excite you. Me personally, I think it's going to shoot it at the park and he'll go down as a fan favourite. And he'll surprise.
I hope you're right, Bobby. I really hope you're right, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can you see that?
No.
Full agreement reached.
Full agreement reached, apparently, yeah.
Full agreement between Richarlison's representatives and Tottenham on personal terms. Long-term contract agreed with his new agents, waiting to complete the deal with Everton. New direct contact scheduled soon to discuss deal details between the two clubs. So for most clubs, that means he's signing tomorrow. For Daniel Levy, we can expect him to sign in about 3 weeks' time.
It's interesting. He says that it's new agents. Does that mean that he's had a fallout, that the previous agents have been dropped and they've signed with a new company in the last couple of days or something? That's quite.
It's talk of 5 years as well, Sean, isn't there, mate?
Yeah,
5 year apparently contract.
Look,
Bobby, I hope you're right. I really hope you're right. I'm going to sing his name. I'll get a shirt. I can't wait for him to be proven. I worry about the cost, but I'm all about getting behind him and let's hope he does the bee's knees for us this season.
Yeah. Just quickly before we go into number 6, Luhan has said, can all of you describe the day when Sol Campbell went to Arsenal, or is this never going to answer the question type question? Kuva, you look like a very calm, patient man with nice wording.
What year was it? 98, 99,
Four-letter word. That's all I want to use.
Wasn't it 2000? I don't know. I don't know. It's not memory you want to remember.
2000. It was 98. He was with England. He played for Spurs back then, and it was 2 seasons after that. He went to South London.
2000.
Yeah, because he won the League Cup with us, right, in '99.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so
in summer 2001, he moved to.
All right. Let's have a go at summing this up, because first you've got to be fair to exactly what he was for us.
Yep.
Sol Campbell at one point was our main man. He was the best player at the club. He was a powerful defender that dominated the opposition, and we bloody loved him. That's the problem. Yeah. Because as soon as he betrayed us, all of that love, all of that intense feeling turned to hatred. And he is Judas. He is the ultimate icon of hatred constant hatred. He will never be forgiven, ever, no matter what he does. Absolute scumbag, and I can't stand the sight of him or the sound of him. No,
Brian
just
Daigle will
utter
be doing.
betrayal.
Scoover, just to put this to you, and Brian Daigle, if you're watching, mate, please switch off, because I know he'd
Hang on,
be
isn't
doing
he
that in
in
the
an airport somewhere looking for his bag?
No, he's just on the screen. But you know what? Yeah. Sol Campbell, Bagel. Sol Campbell said, and I can't believe I'm saying his name. He said he tested the club's ambition by going to the board and saying, "Pay me this," and by doing so, you'll show your ambition to me, and we want to move and which direction we're going to go. They said no, and he fucked off to South London. Yeah, I don't know where I was when that was announced. Manchester Airport, just dropped off my best mate for his honeymoon with his wife, and I was on my way back listening it on Talk Radio. It wasn't Talk Sport back then.
Yeah,
it was Talk Radio.
Loved it. The good old days. I feel like for me, it wasn't about Sol Campbell leaving Tottenham. It wasn't even about Sol Campbell necessarily joining Arsenal. For me, it was the way in which he did it. It was the fact that he kept it under wraps and that nobody saw it coming. We didn't have any time to prepare. Like he could have gone about it a million different ways. If he wanted to go and win something and he thought that Arsenal was the best place to do it, on some level, as a human being, I kind of get it. It was the way he did it, the way he said that he was thinking about signing. The contract was still, he was thinking about it. And then bang, out of nowhere on the Monday morning or whatever the day it was, he signs for Arsenal. It was so deceitful and disingenuous that to this day, I wouldn't be someone that still, if I saw him walk into a bar in Ibiza, I wouldn't call him a Judas C-U-N-T like he's called by people that you still see the footage. He's had 20 odd years now of being called it. I don't necessarily think that that's necessary anymore. I'll never forgive him, but it wasn't the fact that he joined Arsenal. It wasn't the fact he lost us. It was the way he went about it that really stuck the knife in.
Yeah, everything about going to Arsenal, man.
Yeah,
but there's plenty of players like William Gallas. William Gallas left back Arsenal, went to Chelsea, came to Tottenham. There's it's not like, and we cheered for William Gallas. We didn't care that he played for Arsenal and Chelsea. There's lots of different players that are moving around.
Look at the level
London,
of player though as well, Sean. He was one of our own.
No, I get it, and I'm probably on a losing battle here. But for me, it wasn't about him leaving to go to Arsenal. It was the way he.
It was a combination of things, wasn't it, mate? It was a combination of everything, which made it worse, and then.
I think the key thing was that he had said he was going to sign a new contract, and that he was that good, whether we like to admit or not. He had options. Apparently, he had options from Barca, Madrid, United, and then went to them. If he had gone to Barcelona, you go, "Oh God, we lost him on a free." But what an opportunity!
Yeah.
But to go, look anyway.
Choosing Arsenal and doing it in the way that he did it was where the Judas thing came from. I think
Would you like to see number 6 before we get into the top 5? Because that's how numbers work.
You promised me. You promised me 2 names from the also bucket.
I gave you VDV. I've put Chris Waddle is in my bucket.
Savva, can we have a follow-up on players we really hate?
Of course. Yeah, we can do whatever we want.
Chris Waddle was in your also brand bucket.
I'm not the BBC. I don't. It's not like strict guidelines.
It's difficult to talk about some without using certain words.
What year was Chris Waddle at Tottenham?
Chris Waddle was the 80s.
85 till 90.
I think that's about 89, wasn't it? I just remember.
He was playing for Marseille when he was with in Italian 90.
Jesus, so you just opened up a whole other bucket of players I didn't think of.
Well, I just remember when I started to get to the age where, when you start to get football, right? I remember my uncle said to me, who I always used to go to the football with, my uncle said to me, just watch the way this guy drops his shoulder. And at that age, I was like, what do you mean? And then you realise I've never seen someone take a player on the way Waddle did. He just dropped his shoulder. Brilliant. So Waddle, Van der Vaart, and
One more. Go on. Tease me.
Jan Vertonghen.
Yeah, Vertonghen was just on the also round. Okay.
I'm glad Daigle's not on there.
Yeah, sorry. I liked him. Can I be honest? And look, we're not going to get into a debate about this until the end, but I didn't rate him as much as Toby at all. Just so I didn't think he was a patch on Toby, but we'll come back to that. Please don't. I want to bring up the sick funnel. We'll be here all day on that.
For me, as much as I love them, they don't even get remotely near my top 10.
Yeah,
in your lifetime, Kuva, or in within his lifetime?
My lifetime.
Okay.
Yeah, Kuva's got 102 years on us, so
Exactly.
He's actually got the cockerel as part of his top 10 list.
Before it had evolved into one.
I saw you alongside Christopher Lambert and Sean Connery in the is that showing my age? Because that is a great film. Right.
I'm
the
not
next
bragging
player,
about my sword either.
Luka Modric.
Glenn
now,
Road.
in some ways, I should probably get rid of him.
He does actually look like Glenn Roeder, but
In some ways,
just really want to call out Kim's comment.
Yeah, no, Kim, I agree. Kim,
Kim.
I completely agree. I think Sean and I said this earlier. We're not accountants, so don't care about the price. But what I don't want to see is a 60 million Richarlison, and then our right wing back option is a 17, 18 million Jed Spence.
Yeah,
because
exactly
the right wing back option for me is more crucial than a 60 million Richarlison. But look, if he joins, which it looks like he is, we get behind him, 100%. And let's hope he does well for us. Talk to me, Sean. I'll start with you. Luka Modric.
Yeah, amazing. Of course, he's in the top 10. Of course, he's in there.
Has to. Well, look, I think he's the only player in my top 10 who won World Player of the Year. So,
he's the only player at Tottenham that's ever won the World Player of the Year.
Right. Well, there we go. I mean, Luka Modric, I think, we had him kind of floating about on that left wing. Harry came in, chucked him into the middle, and for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years, however long he was at Spurs, I just thought he was just magnificent. He was just, even now, he's one of my best free central midfielders in world football. How good is he, Sean? How good was he? How good is he?
Mate, the guy would still walk back into Tottenham's first team now.
Yeah.
Like he was amazing then. He left. There's a handful of players that are part of the kind of the bucket of players that were signed under Daniel Levy's tenure who people don't give Daniel Levy credit for signing these players and then these people going on to other levels. Berbatov was one, Modric was another, Michael Carrick was probably somebody else. So a few of them, but Luka Modric for me went on and did it at the highest level consistently. You cannot in any way have any hard feelings about that guy. He was just better than Tottenham. It was a privilege to have had him wearing the Tottenham shirt for the period that he did, and it was a devastation. I don't think he won anything within his time at Tottenham. Obviously, I think he was around when we got beaten in the penalties against Manchester United in the Carabao Cup in 2014. I think he was still there then. I think that you put him sixth. You could make an argument to put him fifth, fourth, or third, or anything else, right? He's just that good. And I would take him back. I'd take him back next summer. I still think he's got that much. He's only 36. I say only. He's only 36. Come back, Luka. Have one last swan song. Like he's that good. Nothing. There's no criticism. There's no critique that's required. Just only adoration of the guy. He is. His center of gravity was so low. The ability for him to pivot and pop and win the ball back. He was a little tiger getting the ball back, and then his ability to distribute either way, left foot, right foot, the waiting on his passes, second to none. By far the best player consistently that I ever saw as a season ticket holder at Tottenham Hotspur. Nothing but love for the man. Perfect.
Bob, Modric is one of those, I feel that no one else is playing their game. It's his game. Yeah. From the minute one, he dictates. I've done it again, Cooper. I've made that sound like 2 words. I don't know why I keep doing this.
Because you can get an
Yeah, exactly. He dictates the tempo of every game he plays, right? And I just remember watching him and thinking, you're that good. Like he was that good, right?
Yeah, and I think Harry Redknapp brought the best out of him because, let's be honest, first few games we weren't sure. It was an unknown, and we thought, who's this minuscule weakling on the right-hand side of midfield? And players were scared to pass the ball to him. But I think Harry Redknapp saw the qualities, and he said to the players, pass him the ball. Yeah, but he's got about 3 or 4. Don't worry about it. Pass him the ball.
Yeah.
And watch what he does. And he never got, even now, man, he gets the ball and no one can knock him off it. The ball is nowhere near him, but it's still in control, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's, absolute class. I was going to poo-poo on Sean's statement of who's the only Ballon d'Or winner? Modric.
Yeah.
I was going to say Diego Maradona, obviously, because
he did play. Yeah, it's true.
But Maradona's never won Ballon d'Or.
Oh, really?
What's that? No. Unbelievable. Sorry, that's a whole different show. But I cannot believe Maradona has never won the Ballon d'Or. But we're going off topic. But Modric, class. He made the players around him better. And, genius. Best way to put it.
Bob. Sorry, no. We've had Bob. We've had you. You're old news. Cooper. So I'm going to just pull up my little mate Sean about something here. So it was unacceptable. Eriksen in his last year, it was unacceptable. Modric was literally, the ink was wet signing for Chelsea. What
do you mean? Wait. Sorry, say that again.
I mean, Modric wanted to leave,
and
didn't he? Hashtag
Chelsea.
Just saying. Chelsea wanted him. Modric had agreed terms, but Spurs wouldn't sign him. I'm just saying, Sean. Horses.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So if my distaste for Eriksen in the way that he left, then I should be true to the form that Modric wanted to leave as well. That's a fair point. I'll take that.
Here we go. So,
fucking
Kuva, coming to you. This is a great listen.
It's fair. Here's a fair point. I've got that. It's a fair point. Well done.
Dembele, who was 11th on my list, by the way. Dembele, better than Modric?
Oof.
Dembele's not on your list.
I can't have it personally.
No.
I'd love Mousa, but better than Ballon d'Or winner who won what he's won at Real Madrid.
Dembele, sorry,
well,
just so I understand, but I'm so sorry to interrupt. Kuba, so Dembele's not on your list. The top 5, I have to assume, are going to go into the 80s more than they are the current regime, because if Dembele's not on your list, then there's something seriously wrong. That's all I'm going to say. Sorry, I'll let you carry on, Kuv.
But if you put Dembele in now, he's better than Modric, as far as you're concerned, Sean.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with the order in which he's doing these things, but I thought that if Dembele would be an absolute cert.
I'll put it this way. My list, there's 5 that are in the 80s or before.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. Yeah, well, I'm going to have to expect the same. I'm going to expect Glenn Hoddles and that sort of shit that's going to come out of...
that sort of shit? Kick him off now.
Glenn Hoddle and that sort of shit.
No, you know what I mean? I mean like that sort of ilk. Sorry, replace that shit with ilk. That ilk.
Can you
80s players.
Can you imagine any Barcelona YouTube channels right now going, I expect Messi, those crappy type of players.
Listen, I'll retract. Not shit, ilk is what I meant. Hoddle, that ilk, not shit. That's just my poor vocabulary.
I really enjoyed the genius that was Modric, and he's throwing the toys out of the pram and turning his back on us. Not like that Hoddle rubbish, eh?
Yeah. Kuva, can you make an argument for Dembele being better than Modric?
No.
I
can't. Dembele, great player for us. Absolutely great player for us. One of the most powerful, assured players you could have in the team.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. But Modric is genius level. Still is. He unlocks the greatest defences in the world with his ability. He's peerless at the moment. Has been for a long time as far as I'm concerned. He is right up with the very best players that have been in his generation. Dembele does have some limitations despite how good he is. And Dembele is on the fringe of getting in my top 10, but he doesn't make it.
Okay. 11th, like mine.
Well, I've got a few in just a pool that could be anywhere.
Kuba's pulling from like 50 years more than you have got.
Well, listen, but you'll probably be alive longer than him. So, it swings and roundabouts.
I won't be alive longer than you.
I've nearly said something there, Sean.
I'm dying early, boys. I'm going out early. Trust me.
Fair enough.
Live fast, die young.
I mean, look, let's look. Yeah, I'm going to move on from Modric, but again, I think this guy, he took Croatia to the World Cup final.
To be fair, Shawnee, on my list, there's only one player who was playing his last game before 1987 for us.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. That's fine.
Just quickly, apparently, 24Z, is there any facts behind this? Jesus, guys, Longley on loan, basically Jesus, guys, Longley on loan, basically done.
It looks like it's done.
As Romano said in the thing, let us know. Are you happy for me to move on, guys, to the top 5, to our 5th place?
Yeah, I can't wait.
Now, this might have a few of the younger fans just unsubscribing. This guy, for me, is the 5th best player I've seen in a Spurs shirt.
5th? Wow.
5th.
Okay.
5th, yeah.
That's fine.
Harold Kane.
No. Nothing about Longley, by the way, guys.
Not that I can see on Team Talk.
Nothing about Longley.
Nothing confirmed or
Nothing confirmed, but there's been plenty of tweets all day saying that
for the last 48 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
He's signing. There's a double deal on the table with Leandro Demau, and apparently we're in talks with Sado Berahino.
that's it.
He's coming back as well.
Peter Oldham-Wengy waiting at the gates as well, just in case.
Yeah, on a winger, yeah.
Right. Let me start this time with you, Kuva. Harry Kane in at 5th. I can assume people are spitting and shouting and slandering me somewhere. Should he have been higher, in your opinion, or am I about right with 5th?
Well, obviously not. Obviously, I won't say no because he's not even in my top 10.
Wow. Okay.
What?
Okay.
Yeah, he's not.
Sean, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
38.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
all
all
right.
right, isn't it?
I've got 13 years on you, Sean.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm Harry Kane. I'm surprised he'd be in. I'm shocked he wouldn't be in my dad's top 10 of all time, and he's like 75.
Oh, if it comes down to favourites or recent top 10, easily. Yeah, no, I love the bloke. Absolutely love the bloke. He's still my favourite player at the club, but he doesn't make my all-time top 10. It's got to be harsh.
It's fine. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be disrespectful about your top 10. I'm just shocked that he wouldn't be in anyone's top 10. I think I would have assumed he'd be in everyone's top 10, but it's fair enough.
What everyone's saying that Fabrizio has said. Longley. I'm on Fabrizio Romano's Instagram, and I'm not seeing.
No, we didn't say it as well.
I've not seen.
Oh, DiMarzio apparently, mate.
DiMarzio's saying it, yeah.
Okay. I mean, look, for me, not. We'll come to that at the end. Kuva, just quickly before you go with Harry Kane. Get the likes in.
Sorry, quickly. Fabrizio's just said not only full agreement on personal terms with Richarlison, Tottenham are also closing on Lenglet deal with Barcelona after new talks between the clubs today. Loan deal until 2023, as per DiMarzio. Clubs in direct contact. Final details, Spurs on it. That's happened 3 minutes ago. Fabrizio's just said that 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, 4 minutes. Clement Longley set to join Spurs on loan from Barcelona. Done deal.
I'm happy with it. I'm happy.
Hey, 5 more players, and we'll have the famous 7 holding up the shirt.
You know what that does? Right, as of right now, I went from a 7 to a 6 with Richarlison. I'm now back up to an 8. That's how much faith I have in Lenglet.
Right. Let's do the top 5, and then we will talk about Richarlison and Longley.
Love it.
Everybody quickly hit that like button. We are 13 likes away from the 100 mark.
Come on.
And as always,
boys and girls, hit that like button. Smash it.
Right. Okay, lots of people not happy with me for putting Harry Kane fifth. I'm being told he's the number one of all time. I'm being told. Kuva, Harry Kane, go.
Right. First of all, like I said, at the moment, he's my favourite player at the club, has been for a long time. I absolutely love the bloke to bits. Everything he's done for us. I want him to smash all the records and everything like that. But even if he does smash the records, we're talking about records by the likes of Jimmy Greaves, who many people have as the most legendary and best player that's ever played for Spurs.
Yeah.
Just by breaking that record does not automatically make Harry Kane a better player. There's context behind everything. Now, for me, Kane lacks in some abilities, but he makes up for it with other abilities. Like he's got good aggression, he's got good strength on the ball. He does, when he's not on form, miss a lot of chances. Even when he is on form, one of his strengths on getting goals is creating a volume of chances. He will miss some, he will take some. Players like Lewandowski are genius at taking any chance they get. They can finish top scorer in the league on having 2 chances a game and take it both. Kane isn't that kind of clinical when it comes to goal scoring. What he offers is more the Sheringham mould, where he's great at dropping back, picking out some passes. He's a great player, but just purely for what they do in their specific position, I have players on my list that I consider the greatest of their era, or the very pinnacle of what they do in that particular position. For example, a Lewandowski for finishing, he's unmatched. That's the best you can do. You can't be better than Lewandowski for that, but you could match it maybe. Kane isn't up to that level on that particular stat. So you've got to look at his all-round game, and it's great. It really is. But he is another one that has gone missing in big matches again. He's had phases where he's not going all that well, and he has an off period for it lasts a while. He's been slow to start in some seasons. That used to be a regular thing. Harry Kane doesn't start playing till like October or something. There are little things you could chip away at his greatness at, but he is great. I'm just saying there are players that I consider technically more gifted and better on the world stage than he is.
Okay. All right. Bob, Harry Kane, would you have had him higher than fifth? Fifth about right? Too high?
Fifth, when you think about fifth, because it's so recent, it's so prominent in our memories.
Right.
You obviously put him up there. The way I look at it, and fifth does sound, a bit low down. But then you think, who would you put above him? Is it hard to put players above him? And I can think of 3 already. Last Saturday, I said I'd take a prime Bale over a Kane, so he goes above him. And of course, I've seen Hoddle and Gaza play, so them 2 for me are above him. So that's 3 out of the 4 that I'd rate above him. The 4th one would be Gary Mabbitt, but that's for personal reasons anyway. But hey, there's an argument to have him in there. But yeah, I mean, Kane on 5th is like I say, so prominent. He's right now. He's immediate. He's fresh in our memories. He is world class. I've always said on my stream, currently, he, for me, is the best striker in the world. Ahead of an Mbappe, ahead of a Haaland, ahead of a Lewandowski. That's me. Even putting my bias to one side. I personally believe he is the best striker in the world. As for Spurs, top 10, I can easily pick 4 players better who I rate more than Kane.
Sean, should Kane have been higher than top 5?
That's something you can only judge regressively. I have to wait and see what 4, 3, 2, and 1 is, and then.
What about yours, Sean?
Your opinion?
In the top 10 players, Harry Kane in our lifetime, because I think we're at the same age.
Is there 4 players you put ahead of him, mate?
Well, not unless you dip into the 80s, because they were in my lifetime.
No, just your lifetime, mate.
Just your lifetime.
Yeah, but I was in the 80s. I was alive I was born in 84, but I didn't pick up Tottenham until like 92.
Go from there then.
92 onwards. Premier League time.
No. Harry Kane is 100% probably in the top 3 for me. Probably
So not far. Yeah.
Top. He's definitely. Yeah, of course he's in there. Yeah. I think I'm not arguing yet with you, Savva. I'm gonna pinch my tongue and wait and see what comes in number 4. And if it's something ridiculous, wait and see what I say, bro.
Right. Shall we move to number 4 and talk about Milenko?
You know while we're doing it, do you mind me if I ask Kim what her top 10 is, and then I'll present, because it'd be interesting to see what Kim. So Kim, give us your top 10 as well, mate. Mate. Yeah, top 10.
All right, mate.
Dan, while you've been alive.
So okay, let's move on from Harold, and I want to talk about this guy.
Number 4.
Yes, have you been watching Stranger Things? Number 4.
Matt Letizia.
Yeah.
Who's this guy?
Yeah, of course.
Now,
he's in there. Of course.
Pamaro.
Of course.
No, Pamaro had the sexiest calves I've ever seen on a match. They were
his fetish. Savva's given his fetish out.
And a couple of pretty decent sheep.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, this man's in the top 5. Where
Number 4.
Can
I just say there are people in the comments that keep saying things to me like Greaves, Mackay. I'm 39. Right? Yeah. I didn't ever see the games back in those days. Look, Gareth Bale. I'm going to give Gareth Bale for his first stint. His first stint I felt like he was the best player in the league by a country mile. He was playing for some of the time with a complete load of dross. Some of the other time he was playing in a wonderful attacking team with Harry Redknapp. But he just pace, power, skill, finishing with his feet, headed goals, volleys outside the box, tap-ins. I mean, what was there not to love? I mean, Bob, let me start with you. What was not to love about Gareth Bale, and should I have had him higher?
No. I think 4th. I would have put him in 4th as well. A match winner, and I don't think we've had a match winner, out-and-out match winner since then, apart from Kane. Mm-hmm. You know, and was it you, Kuv, who put the question? Prime Kane or Prime Bale on Saturday? What a question!
Great question.
So it'd be interesting to see what you guys think and the people in the chat. Who would you take, a Prime Bale or a Prime Kane? I said, why
don't we have that for a chat when we finish?
Question. It's a great question. Star that question.
Bale v Kane. I've put it on the list. As you were.
Wow.
But for me, Bale, Inter Milan games, not just at home, but the away game, which really
AC Milan when we got the winner. Away from home. Away from home.
The game away from home, I think, not only gave him the confidence, but I think it shit the Inter Milan defenders up as well. We're 4-0 down. There's nothing to play for. But
even AC Milan away, when we won, we beat AC Milan 1-0 away, and it was Peter Crouch who put the
Peter Crouch
scored it. Lennon
went
on the
through
right.
the middle.
Gareth Bale in that game. He doesn't get any of the. No one remembers Bale in that game, but he was dente. He was absolutely insane. Gareth Bale that season.
Loads of games, man. Loads of games. West Ham away, February 2013.
Hang on, doesn't al dente just mean slightly chewy?
Yeah, I know. I
know. Tom Carroll's only assist ever as a Spurs player was that pass to Gareth Bale in that last minute against West Ham.
Oh, the pass! It was like that far, wasn't it?
But no, there's so many memories. Sunderland last day away to Man City, 1-0 down at half time, winning 3-1, and Bale's Man United away. So many memories. And on his day, we talk about potential Ballon d'Or. If Real Madrid if his career continued the way it started at Real Madrid, easy man, he could have won.
Here's a question, just quickly, Bob, before I move on to one of the others to talk about Bale. If Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo did not exist, would Gareth Bale have won a Ballon d'Or?
No question.
Yes.
No question, mate. I don't think there's even a suitable discussion.
I heard Kim.
Yes.
Big up Kimbo. Kimbo slice in the background.
Because I've got a few friends that are Real Madrid fans, and they tell me that in the biggest of games, it was Bale that turned up and not Ronaldo. Don't tell all the Ronaldo fans though, because they'll go
we went
mad.
outside the pitch against Barcelona in the cup final. We ran off the pitch to
Past
then back
Mark
on.
Bartra. Was it Mark
Yeah.
Bartra? Yeah. Oh. It was like a young Savva in the playground. Just went around everyone. Sean, Gareth Bale, would you have had him higher than fourth?
Listen, it's your list, mate. I'm happy for him. I'm happy I've seen him in there. I'm happy that Harry Kane was fifth, happy that Bale's fourth. I'm intrigued to see who's third, second, and first. At the moment, I'm content. But Gareth Bale for me was the most exciting player that I've ever seen. Maybe there was one other player like a David Ginola. I'm probably sure that David Ginola is probably going to be in the bucket of the also-rans. But I used to love Ginola when I was a kid, and Ginola was kind of like what Gareth Bale became on, and then Gareth Bale was like on steroids, right? So I'm happy that Bale's in there, and yeah, I'd have fourth seems reasonable right now. I'm going to hold my breath and see what you say third, second, and first. Just quickly before you move on to anything else, I know you've got a super chat you're going to bring up in a second, and it's going to be about Lenglet. When we finish with all this, when we finish with this particular part of the show, I spent a lot of time over the last couple of weeks, and I've got the stats. I can drop it in. If you want to go into it, I can just spend 5 minutes explaining why Clement Lenglet shouldn't be underwhelming. And
We will talk. We will talk about Lenglet. I don't think it's as bad. I feel it's a hipster conversation to just say he's bad because of what's happened at Barca. Yeah. We'll go into this in more detail, but for me, a lot of players in the last couple of years that are very good at Barca have been messed around in and out the team. But we'll come to that. Just quickly before I come to Kuva to talk about Gareth Bale, Henry Wright TV. Henry, big up Savva on the panel. Lenglet has just been announced that he's going to join Spurs on a year's loan. Very underwhelming for Henry. Look, we'll talk about this. For me, what I think this suggests, and we'll go into this after, guys, I think it suggests that when all the fans got very excited about talks of 150, 250 million, I think it was very, very, very naive. I don't think we were ever going to spend anywhere near that amount of money. So we'll come back to that. But Henry, thank you for the $8.99. Henry, I thoroughly look forward to getting drunk with you this weekend, Henry, in Krakow, and what happens in Krakow.
Are you guys mates outside of the community then? Are you?
We're all mates outside the community. Sure,
we're all mates.
Is it a Spurs community trip to Krakow that Sean Butler hasn't been invited on? Because I'm jealous as hell.
Yes. No, Henry. Forgive me for saying Henry. Henry has just. I've just hired Henry to work for me at my company. So he's starting a new career, and as part of an incentive, because our team has done brilliantly this quarter, we're taking the team to Krakow for a weekend.
Wow!
Henry starts on Monday, so his initiation is Friday through to Sunday in Krakow.
Admit it. It's because it sounds like crack house and everybody joined in.
That's insane. Henry, rule one, make sure you make it to work on Monday morning, bro. That's the initiation. Just get to work on Monday.
Rule one, don't make it to work.
I see you're also blackmailing him into giving super chats to start paying back wages.
Yeah, that's what it is, yeah.
He's going to pay for his salary over a month on super chat.
That's insane. Yeah,
Kuva,
cool,
just quickly, is there anything you want to add on Mr. Bale?
Pretty much all being said. I mean, you're putting the world-class technical ability into the body of a world-class sprinter, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That's sensational results, no matter what. His big drawback is he was so finely tuned as in an athletic way that he was so prone to injury. It's like a prime racehorse. A little bit of a knock, they're not gonna perform. Having said all that, he only makes sixth on my list. I've got, and I'll stick, and I look at it. I try and justify it, and I'm sticking by it, by what I've got down. Yeah, because there's been great players in great era in certain eras, but when you can't start comparing one from one era to another, you get justifications for them not making it in the team. Bale wants some of the most exciting times, some of the best goals I've seen, some of the best moments. brilliant. Love him to bits. If I'm being harsh, he only makes top 6 for me. For favourite player, he's higher. But for best, I've got him at 6.
Okay. So I'm going to move on to number 3. Keep hitting that like button, people.
Number four.
No, that was 4.
Bale was 4.
Oh, Bale was 4. Okay,
Bale
sorry.
was 4.
Yeah, my bad.
Do we have to run through how this numbers thing works
No,
again?
I'm okay.
Right. Now Sean's gonna be disappointed with me here, but I'm gonna speak.
We don't care.
Yeah, no, I don't care either. But I'm gonna speak first. This guy is the 3rd best player I've seen at Tottenham Hotspur.
Oh,
Right?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm not disappointed at all. I'm delighted.
Right. Now,
Yes.
now let me explain why. Oh, Henry again, mate. Are you paying for your drinks on? Already? Thank you very much, brother. Much appreciated. Yeah, and your liver, you better. Let's hope you can hack it with the big boys this weekend. Guys,
Love this.
David Ginola, right? And I hate it when people call him Ginola. It's Ginola, right? The reason why is I feel that when people nowadays talk about Ginola, they don't take into account that he wasn't playing in a team like Bale was, like Kane is, like Son is. He wasn't playing in those teams. He was playing in a team that was lucky if it hit 10th, because other than Campbell and Ginola, it was a kind of real bad bunch of players.
Yeah.
He joined us. He lit up the lane every game. He did things with a football that I've not seen other people do before.
Yeah, for sure.
He beat men for fun. Everyone I've interviewed, Ramon Vega, I've interviewed Alan Nilsson, I've interviewed Darren Anderton. They all said it was, if we needed a breather, give the ball to David and he'll go and hold on to it because you can't get the ball off him. And not only that, the fact is he got double player of the year playing for Tottenham Hotspur.
100%.
The fellow players in the league voted him as the best player in the league in a year when Man United won a treble.
Yep.
And I just remember coming away from every game and saying to my uncle, God, we were shit today, but God, did you see that Cruyff turn Ginola did? Or did you see when Ginola took the ball into 3 or 4 people and came out the other side with it? Yeah. And he was just a showman, right foot, left foot, corners. And last thing, sorry, you could tell how much I love Ginola. Last thing was, what I hear a lot from the younger fans now is they go, oh, well, look at his stats. And I always have to say to them, but he played as a left winger in a 4-4-2. He wasn't like Heung-min Son and Salah now. He wasn't playing as one of the 3. So wide forward. And I just loved everything about him, and he was worth the entrance fee. Sean, go. Sean, Ginola, go.
Please let me go first. I am so happy that he's in your top. He was definitely in my top 10. I just presumed that he wasn't going to be in yours. When I said, oh, if you put Bale in at 5 or 4, whatever it was, I just presumed that Ginola was going to be in your also ran bucket. I am so delighted that you put him in there. He is the reason I fell in love with Tottenham. It wasn't Teddy Sheringham. It wasn't even Jurgen Klinsmann. It was him. It was the way he... And I don't even necessarily remember him being that skillful. I just remember him when I was like 40. I'm sure he was. I'm sure he was more than I remember. I seem to remember him just like running with the ball close at his feet and kind of like going into challenges with 1-2 men and then coming out the other side with it. Now, maybe I was naive with how he was doing it, but when I was someone that didn't know football, I just watched it. He just seemed to always come out the other side, and we were all screaming "Ginola, Ginola!" Like that for me was. I remember that. That's one of the major memories of my youth. So I'm absolutely in line with you, mate. You said I would be disappointed. I'm not disappointed. I'm super happy that you put him in at this level because he is what got me excited and made me fall in love with Tottenham Hotspur, hands down. Gareth Bale. Between him, the different players, similar styles, whatever, different eras. But
can I?
Yeah, go on. Sorry, man.
I just want to say sorry. Yes, look, Ginola. Yes, he did have a heart attack, and honestly, I was in tears when I heard that because I love the guy. I was lucky enough to meet Ginola once in the Spurs lounge, and do you know what? He just smelt he smelt as good as he looked. He was just I just loved the guy. Yeah,
He's wearing Paco Rabanne or something. Was he? He was just up nice.
I don't know. He was just wearing a Ginola, whatever it was. It was lovely.
Smell. Because you know why? Because he was worth it.
He was worth it. Yeah, like that. Younger fans won't get that. Just quickly, I just want to mention on this. A lot of people now say to me, "No, sorry, Savva, he wasn't as good as Son. Son over." The difference for me is Son for me is a goal scorer who's a forward. Ginola for me, everything about footballing ability was superior to Heung-min Son. Touch, control, skill, passing, goal scoring. Yeah, Sonny can have it. That's his game. But when I watch them as a footballer and their technical ability, the ball never hit Ginola and bounced off. That man controlled the ball and it took him into his next move and he just looked so elegant. And look, horses for courses, but I mean, Bob, talk to you about Ginola. Can you tell I love him?
Great player. Remember his goal against Barnsley where it was shit defending, but he did take a whole team on and score. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Leeds game under Graham, the ghost goal that Graham celebrated and realised it wasn't a goal. My first ever trip to Goodison Park was when we won 2-0. Ginola and Les Ferdinand scored, and I was wondering why people around me were shouting "Kia ora, kia ora," knowing full well, realising that it was Ginola. But sorry, Kim, sorry, Sav, not in my top 10, man.
No, listen, that's cool. I mean, just quickly, like Aaron saying, where is Will when we need stats? The problem is, I don't know how anyone.
I don't think stats got anything to do with it.
You couldn't compare stats for if we were going with Son Ginola. How could you compare stats when they played in different positions, different teams, different eras? Now, for example, would Heung-min Son have been as good in that team that finished 11th on the left wing? Would he have won double player of the year when he can't win player of the year now? I mean, I'm just devil's advocate. I'm just playing. Kuva, David Ginola, I know he's probably not made your top 10, but talk to me about him.
It's even harsher if I say he's nowhere near my top 10.
Oh, wow. Very hard.
For players I love, he's in my top 10.
Yeah.
He's just got that wow factor. There's everything about him. You want to be him when you're playing around with your mates on the park, sort of player.
You just want to beat him, don't you? You just want to beat him.
You do.
Really do. Yeah. The girls want to date him. The boys want to be him. Yeah. I get it.
I just want
to date him as well. Well, I just sod it.
I'll take what I can get. Take what I can get.
Just quickly, Kuba, is there an argument for it that Ginola was one of the last? I hate this saying. Forgive me. This kind of Spurs DNA in terms of having an entertainer. That he was one of the last bastions of that kind of trait.
No, there's one after that. I'd go for VDV for that.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
I'd go as far as saying Ali in his prime was a bit of a. I know, but in his prime when he was, I know you're going to kick me off again. He brought that bit of skill set that we'd been missing, and some would say even Bale.
Well, you could even say even worse on Dembele.
I know, Aaron.
Ginola. Everything about him. Immense talent. Love watching him play. All the skill in the world. Brilliant. That goal against Barnsley, everybody remembers in the cup where he just runs through about 1 million players and makes it look easy. Fantastic player, brilliant to watch on the eye. Everything except for how much did he really affect the results for the team over the course of time? Perhaps somebody with his talent level could have brought us to a higher level. It's hard to tell because of, you've got to take into the equation some of the other players just weren't up to his standard as well. Yeah. For me, his overall stay was disappointing, yet his skill set's brilliant. So absolutely love him. One of my all-time favourite players, but he doesn't make my top 10. Not for just pure ability or...
You're wrong, but okay. All right. This is how I see him as well, Ellie. A technically truly gifted, sexy Adonis. I love the man.
I think he's talking about you, Sav.
Do you know what?
It was a statement. It was a statement there.
In all my years, in all my years of podcasting and YouTubing, he's the one person I've wanted more than anyone to get on and have a chat with. And Ramon Vega tried to help me out, but it just didn't work out. Let's look, Bob. I know you haven't got long, so let's quickly. I'm gonna quickly rattle through number 2. Now, I want to say before I put this man up, this is based on I only saw bits of this guy because of my age. It's the only reason he's number 2. Okay.
Oh,
the only reason, because as I was just starting to get to the age of really understanding.
Bob, shall we get out of here, mate?
Oh, dearie me. See you later, Kuva. See you later. Hope you could. Oh, they're both gone. See you later, guys. The old boys have gone. Oh, sure.
I'm not sure where we're going. Why are we going? I don't understand, but I'm part of the team.
Glenn Hoddle at number 2.
Sean joins in, not knowing why.
And then you guys wonder why Henry's coming to Krakow with me, and you're like, obvious. Look, as I said, anyone I speak to older than myself will have Hoddle at number 1. What I saw of him was more afterwards at Monaco and Chelsea when I could first start to appreciate properly, if that makes sense. I mean, I saw him in a Spurs shirt, but I wasn't quite at that age, where I'd seen Gaza and I'd seen Lineker and all of those types. Talk to me, Hoddle, Kuva. I'm guessing that this is your number 1, Hoddle.
Yeah, pure skill set. Most talented player I've seen put on a Spurs shirt, bar Maradona.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, I just think he had everything. It didn't matter if he could tackle if he actually had to. I've seen him do that. But why bother when you're a genius? He'd just pick out a pass for fun. You could blast the ball at him from 3 yards and he'd control it instantly and ping off a 60-yard ball to land on a sixpence perfectly in somebody's path with enough spin on it to take all the pace off the ball and make it easy for them. The bloke was just such a genius, insanely good player. As Michel Platini always said, if he had been born French, he would have had 150 caps easily. But for England, not enough of a workhorse. Criminal waste for England. The genius, absolute genius. That's all we have to leave it at. He just had it all.
So you had a go at me for not having him in number 2. I hope this is sarcasm. Peter, 8.
What the?
8.
He's Guna in disguise, surely.
Sean, I'm guessing like me, we probably didn't get to see a lot of Hoddle in a Spurs shirt.
I've seen the highlight reels now, and I listened to my dad and Kuva and Dermatron, people who remember him fondly, Ellie, that sort of the guys that are part of the community who wax lyrical about Hoddle. I don't remember him, so he wouldn't have been in my 11, or my top 10. But I'm sure he would have deserved to have been in it, but I just don't. He was before my time, so
hold me back, Bob. Hold me back.
And, who hasn't been on Hoddle? Was it Bob?
Oh yeah, I love that. He's the reason why I support Spurs. It's his fucking fault. So Hoddle, if you're watching, but I'll be honest, it's probably your number 1. I don't want to, but from what I can think, I couldn't separate the 1 and 2 for me. So there is someone who's parallel number 1, same. They're both number 1s for me, equally number 1. But Hoddle for me, I remember White Hart Lane helped me out. 81 2-0 against Forest. Garth Crooks. I've seen Garth Crooks score. That's how old I am. Glenn Hoddle took the penalty. Garth Crooks got the second. We won 2-0. That's my first memory. I was about 7 or 8 when I went to watch that. And then, but later on, I saw more of the other guy. I don't want to spoil it because I'm hoping we'll talk about the same player. But later on during the night, late 80s and early 90s, there's a particular player who was absolutely great, and for me, level with Glenn Hoddle, and that's purely come from the memory. The memories I have as a 7, 8-year-old, 9-year-old watching the Hoddle were absolutely brilliant, and he's a reason why I support Spurs. But the memories of 90, 91 were so prominent that I couldn't possibly choose between them.
Right. So just quickly, before I go on to number one, Mark, look, when people are saying, what am I smoking? I keep caveating. You have to remember, I wasn't old enough to have watched him a lot. I caught the tail end when I just started really getting to football. And then my era came in a bit more with then Waddle, Lineker, Gaza, and from there on. So, look, we've got a super chat. Please hit the like button. We are on 99 likes. Surely
Come on.
one more.
Come on.
Danny
God's
has
sake.
said, thank you, Danny, for your super chat. Loving the show. Big up, boys. Question for the panel: is Sean Butler deluded? We'll answer that in a minute because Bob needs to go very soon. Guys, I don't feel that there is going to be any surprise. Someone has told me that if I put this guy at number one, he'd be flabbergasted. I am flabbergasted that you said it to me.
Wait, was Glenn Hoddle number 2?
Yeah.
So we're still waiting for the big one. And he's your number 1.
It's not Paul Stewart.
It's. Do you know what? I don't know who it is.
Can you recognise him?
Oh my good God! So you haven't put Heung-min Son in your top 10 of all time?
It's not Ramon Vega.
Just quickly, David Clark. I don't think you've quite understood what I'm doing here. When you say this is a kindergarten list, I can't put in players that I didn't see live.
Yeah.
Can I? I can't go, oh my God, Jimmy Greaves, when I wasn't.
Dave, you've been around since the 1920s, mate. You know, we can't compete with that, buddy.
Yeah. So
yeah, but where's Son?
Sonny for me doesn't make my top 25.
I
think I like Sonny. As I said, I think Sonny's a very good goal scorer, but all round, all the players I've picked, every single one of them.
Ahead of Ginola. Sonny ahead of Ginola.
But as I said, Ginola technically and just technically and to watch, he was just mesmerising. Son is a great goal scorer. Well, not even a great goal scorer. Son's a good goal scorer. But there's too much about
as well.
Hang on, but there's too much about his game, which for me I don't see as being world class. But I don't want to get into a Heung-min Son debate. But for me, he doesn't make my 25 at all. He's not up there for me. Sorry. Gaza, Bob, I know you need to jump off. So Gaza, am I deluded to have him at one?
If only Kleenex was around in the 90s, mate, you know, it'd be
it was around. It was around.
Yeah.
Used it for me.
Toilet paper has been around for
Oh yes, it has. No, man. Not 91 semi-final and final. Obviously, we had the Notts County quarter-finals. We had the Portsmouth games. Everything about Gaza was class, was world class. Talk about Ballon d'Ors. He could have easily won the Ballon d'Or if it wasn't for that tackle on Gary Charles in the final. It destroyed his career. It did destroy. He never got to the peak as he was in that 91 year. The best player I've seen ever to play live. And I say that against Glenn Hoddle, I probably saw about 5 times in comparison to Gaza, who I saw 20, 30 times. Yeah, again, a player who I wanted to be like. I never wanted to look like him because he was... no, class everywhere, man. Single-handedly against Portsmouth. Oh, Oxford, was it? When he took the ball off the centre circle and went through about 25 players and scored again against Portsmouth away. He was, that season alone. And then the Italian 90. He was one of our boys doing good out in the World Cup. And for me, him and Hoddle, I can't separate him, man. I cannot separate. If I'd seen Hoddle a bit more, then he would have gone number 1 ahead of Gaza. But for me, Easily.
I've lost all respect for this list.
I just want to say, when people are saying no Son, I'm nuts. I can't keep saying it. And the list of players that I've got when I look at my 25, again, I like Son for his finishing ability. But when I look at a footballer, I look at their all-round game. And for me...
What does Ginola... I love Ginola. I said it already. I was happy he was in your list. But if Sonny's not... I'm glad now that I had the chance to reflect.
Right. Are you going to say, what can Ginola do that Son couldn't? His touch, his control, his passing, his skill.
What did Ginola didn't score 22 goals in... Ginola never got the double-double in 3 seasons. Nobody's done that apart from Son.
But again, this
in that era, would he do the same? What would Ginola do in this team today under a Conte?
Oh, who knows? That's speculative.
It'd die in training. That's what
Ginola didn't do it then or anything like it. I love Ginola. I'm happy David Ginola's in your top 10. But I didn't realise that we weren't even including Sonny in it.
Not for me. Not for me.
I'm looking back and going, oh, wow. There's
when people do this to me, when people go, Ginola 13 goals, Son 131, that just tells me that they don't understand that they're completely different footballers. David Ginola was a left-sided midfielder stroke winger, playing in a team that finished 11th most seasons. Heung-min Son has played in teams that have finished 2nd, 3rd and 4th with players like Eriksen.
I'm on your side a little bit that David Ginola should be in the top 10, but you've got to take an L. If you're leaving Son out and your people... come on, mate. Come on, bro.
No, but guys...
He's justifying it.
Sorry, I'm justifying...
It's not justified at all.
No, but Sean, I am, because this is the thing.
Opinion. Of course it is.
Justifying the opinion, but not in me.
Hang on, this is what people do, right? I have this all the time. People go, oh, Son v Ginola. Well, first and foremost, people couldn't have watched Ginola because Ginola, technically as a footballer, pisses all over Heung-min Son all day of the week. There's no debate about it. His touch, his technique, his skill, his flair, his control, his dribbling.
And everybody else in our current team.
Right, absolutely. Now, the second debate about goals scored. First and foremost, football used to be 4-4-2. Wingers didn't get 23 goals back in those days. Right now, Heung-min Son almost plays through the middle for Tottenham Hotspur. With Kane dropping deep, Son is the one who goes through the middle and scores goals. Yeah, David Ginola wasn't that type of footballer. Son has also played in a team that's been Champions League. He's played with quality players like Mousa Dembele, Christian Eriksen, Harry Kane, Dele Alli in his peak, Wanyama, Walker, Rose, Alderweireld, Vertonghen, Lloris, right? Kulusevski, Romero, yada, yada, yada. David Ginola played in a team with Rolf Foxes, Andy Sintons, Chris Armstrongs, Stefan Eversons. So it's really difficult when people say he didn't score that much. That wasn't his game. That's like comparing. If we were going to look at David,
I think I'd feel less obtuse to the suggestion if Sonny made somewhere in the top 10. I think he deserves.
But for me,
would it ease the pain?
Yeah, a little
for
bit.
me, he didn't even come into my head as top 10.
That's mad to me, but it's your opinion and you're entitled to it. So
okay, but it might be mad to you. But then I'll ask everyone this question about Heung-min Son, right? Going into Heung-min Son debate. His fellow professionals never ever give him the Player of the Year. For what reason?
Yeah, that's a different debate altogether.
But David Ginola got double Player of the Year playing in a team that finished 11th.
Yeah. I suppose the argument could be made about the era and the other players who were available that season. You're right. Man United team who won the treble up against now is up against a De Bruyne or a Salah. And so I do get where you're coming from. But no, technically, hands down, Ginola's so much a better player. Strength-wise, mentality-wise, some would say. He always showed up when needed to. And, a lot of people saying he lost it under Graham. He speaks. We've been at a Q&A with Ginola. And if there's one manager he loved playing under, it's George Graham. Who would have thought?
Yep.
Who would have thought?
This is like Grant. I agree with Grant Davidson. He said Son is just a finisher, nothing more. He's class, but a class finisher. Even then, if you look at his goal output over the last 3 years, he got 23 this year, 17 the year before, 11 the year before that. I think people, again, what you said earlier, Bob, where it's because it's fresh in our memories.
Yeah.
His goal scoring output is exactly the same as Raheem Sterling's, right? His goal scoring record for Tottenham is exactly the same as Robbie Keane's, exactly the same as Jermaine Defoe's. It's not. I think everyone wants it to be better than it is because he smiles a lot. I like Heung-min Son. He's a very good player, but for me, just the players I've mentioned just oozed class. And Son, for me, the ball too many times he loses possession, too many times the ball bounces off his foot. Sorry. Love the guy, but he's nothing compared to those for me.
Absolutely. I do need to pop off, guys, but yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Thanks, Bob.
Finally getting to one. Rick Wicker, put an opinion across or don't speak bullshit. Simple as that. Get it sorted. Just a couple of special mentions, if I may, before I jump off. For me, Gary Lineker is the best striker I've ever seen live in the Spurs shirt.
Oh, wow. He didn't make it anywhere near the top 10 either.
Yeah, for me, Gary Lineker.
I forgot all about him on my list.
For me, I saw him. I was away at Wimbledon when he scored 4 in a 5-3 win. And that was just after 1990. 1990 was obviously a follow-on for my love of Lineker. And then his George, I remember his son getting seriously ill. And he had to go away, have a bit of a break, came back against Norwich in the Cup and got goal in extra time to put us through. Gary Lineker, for me, the fastest, I would say, the fastest player I've ever seen in a Spurs shirt. For me, personally, it's all about personal opinions.
Yeah,
Naeem. I knew we joked about it earlier, but Naeem, couple of reasons. Of course, that goal against Arsenal. Also, 91, he came on for Gaza. The pressure that kid would have been under to come on and replace as a substitute for our best player that season and to hold it together. And he also scored in the quarterfinal at home against Notts County, didn't he, Coov? I'm sure he did against Notts County. We were 1-0 down. He scored the equaliser and Gaza got the winner. So Naeem will always have a special, and obviously the great Gary Mabbitt. Come on, you Spurs, holding up the cup, 91. What he had to go through, the challenges he had to go through before every game, before every day, is absolutely fantastic. And of course, Paul Stewart gets a special mention. His hair, always was jealous of his hair. His beautiful eyes, the way he scored that equaliser in the 91 Cup final, and a good player, But for me, Lineker, if there was one player that I'd put in that top 10, for me, Lineker, easily. But
can I just ask a question quickly before you go? Right, I don't understand. Like, people are trying to force this thing down my throat. It's like it's being forced. Like, Son's dribbling is exceptional. I wouldn't say it's exceptional. I said at times it's good. A lot of the times he dribbles into no one. He's a team player and tracks back. Okay, so that doesn't for me. Players that if that's the benchmark, team player and track back, then how many players could we say? At the end of the day, for me, I got the most enjoyment watching David Ginola and his fellow professionals voted him double player of the year, playing for Tottenham. He won a trophy with us, and I would rather watch him if he was in my garden over Heung-min Son all day, every day.
How ironic, Sav. People have opinions on what opinions mean, but hey ho, it's one of those things, isn't it? I love Son. I do love Son. I just don't think he's this world-class player that everyone thinks he is. Sorry. And don't be surprised if people agree with you, mate.
A lot don't.
Agree,
but look, Bob, my benchmark for world-class isn't players at Heung-min Son's level. My benchmark is up
Paul
there.
Stewart. Yeah.
Paul Stewart.
You know what?
What a guy.
In the world that I came from, there's world-class experts in financial analysis, and at every single moment of every single day, one of them thinks that a particular stock or an asset
is worth buying and somebody else think it's worth selling. Opinions are like arseholes. Everybody has them, and most people don't want to get anywhere near other people's, right? So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's all a bit of fun at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Big up, guys. Really
Cheers,
appreciate
Bob.
Love it,
Cheers,
love it,
Bob.
Tom. And see you in Krakow. Oh, shit. Sean's supposed to... It's true.
Not invited.
Yeah,
Not
sorry.
invited.com. Not invited.
Big up, Dirty Pussy. See you Saturday.
Yeah.
Will do, mate.
Big up.
Just quickly, Alex, 1976. First of all, get his name right. You keep saying Ginola. It's weird. I never said Ginola was world class. Ginola, because Ginola, of course, was meant to be joining Barcelona. If you remember, Ginola was meant to be joining Barcelona, but because Newcastle sold Andy Cole in the same season to Man United, Kevin Keegan told him that he couldn't go because he couldn't risk losing both players. So at the end of the day, each to their own. I prefer a player like Ginola. Some people like someone who's just quick and scores goals like Son. Different players. My opinion, guys. My opinion. Bob, thanks very much, mate.
See you later, buddy. See you later.
Yeah, mate. Guys, let's just, I don't want to go for too much longer. Just want to talk about, just quickly, let's talk about Clement Lenglet. I feel like Richarlison's been done to death. Clement Lenglet, lots of people saying it feels very underwhelming. I feel that I want to give this guy a chance. I've seen him have some really good games in a Barcelona shirt. I've seen him have some poor games, like everyone. But I feel that the complete inconsistency of what's happened at Barcelona in the last few years hasn't helped many of the players. So I'm not against it on a loan. Sean?
Mate, I'm very much for it. I'm very much for it. If you've got 5 minutes, I did this on We Are Tottenham TV earlier. I've got a bunch of stats and we can compare. If you want to just spend literally, I can just bang through it in 2 minutes. I can get my screen up and I can show you why Clement Lenglet is not to be sniffed at. He's better in basically every meaningful metric than Ben Davies, and he's even better than Bastoni in many. He's better than Guardiola in many as well. The guy is so underrated in stats over the last 2 years. If you want me to bring it up, if you don't want to, just you take my word for it.
Feel free. I'm only going to go for a maximum of another 5, 6, 7 minutes. So
don't worry about it. Then. Everybody, if you want to see it, just go and check out either my channel or there was literally a show on We Are Tottenham TV 5 hours ago tonight where we did it, right? And we talked about Lenglet, and it's all coming true now. And you can see it. I went through the stats in like 5 minutes time to show you why people that are like negging on Lenglet makes absolutely no sense. The guy is tip top on the stats over the last 2 years, and he did that all whilst being hated and booed to the point where he cried. He cried on live television by the way he was treated by the Barcelona fans simply because he made a mistake. If this guy comes in, I just ask every Spurs fan in the community, because I think that we have a platform. I heard what you were saying earlier, Savva, about how we should treat each other, right? Yeah. And I'm so sorry to hear that you had these people
no, mate, it's fine.
Going after you, man. But
it's good.
we should extend this. If we have a community and a bit of a platform, we should get behind this fella, because I promise you, this guy's stats are phenomenal compared to Guardiola, compared to Bastoni, compared to Botman, certainly compared to Ben Davies, compared to Ndicka's up there as well. Ndicka's a very good option as well for what it's worth. But if we're going to get this guy on loan for a year, he's done mesmerically well at Barcelona over the last 2 years compared to everybody else that we're looking at that would cost a lot of money. All the guy needs is a hug, and to come to a team where the community gets behind him and celebrates him and wishes him the best. And if we can do that, I guarantee you, well, I don't guarantee because I don't, whatever, but I'm pretty certain that the guy will turn it on, because his stats under duress, under the hatred, the venom that came from the Barcelona fans after he made one big or two big mistakes. If we can get behind him, this guy could be absolutely phenomenal for Spurs. Check out my channel or We Are Tottenham TV earlier, and you'll see the stats to justify why I'm saying this. Get behind the guy. He'll be an absolute phenomenal player for Tottenham. I hope I am not wrong on that.
Okay, so I mean, look, thanks for that, Sean. I appreciate that in-depth analysis of Lenglet. Kuva, I think the thing for me, I think a lot of people are doing this with Barcelona players now, where I think, we've seen Barcelona go from arguably the best club team in the world for however long they dominated for, to a team that now they're not that. They're struggling and they're having to rebuild again with a lot of kids from the youth, sprinkled with PK and Busquets desperately holding on, etc. I feel that the last couple of years, it's really difficult to judge many of the Barcelona players because they didn't have a good time under Koeman. It's been up and down under Xavi. I watch Barcelona every week and it's a different 11 every week. It's a different 11, which was never Barcelona. Could it be a case that, look, given a bit of love, given a bit of attention, given him starting maybe the first 5-10 games of the season, and we do see what a good centre-back he is or could be?
Yeah, I mean, I do remember him playing for him and playing very well a few years ago. The fans seem to turn on him because of the incident with I think it was Lewandowski,
Champions League,
where he was being too chatty and friendly with him after the game when Barcelona had lost. So of course, as soon as the fans turn, that's it at Barcelona. Tis at a lot of clubs when that happens.
booed him back onto the pitch. I don't think it was just that game, Kuba, because I think he got subbed off and he was booed off the pitch. It might have been the game after, but then the next time he came on. The next time he was subbed to come on, he was booed back onto the pitch. Can you imagine what that's like? 95,000 people or whatever the new camp is.
Yeah, lovely. Flip him the finger. Lap it up.
He cried, man. The man cried. He's a human being.
Yeah, of course.
Despite that, his stats are phenomenal.
There must be a reason, right, guys? Like, look,
Barca have got history. Sorry, Sam. Barca have got history of turning the screw on players very quickly. Not a lot of players survive at Barcelona and they go on to have better careers than they did if you just reflect on their little microcosm of Barcelona. I think Lenglet could be someone that we get on a very cheap deal, and I wouldn't even mind if it had an obligation to buy pending certain outcomes, because I think the guy will be an absolute monster. He was good for France as well.
Look at Gareth Bale, for example, at Real Madrid. That flag that he came out with, where it said, what was it? Golf? No, what was it? Wales, Golf, Madrid in that order.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with Gareth Bale. Somebody else made it.
Somebody else made the flag. Yeah.
It doesn't matter with the fans. Real Madrid fans hate him for it. That's just the mentality of most fan bases, to be honest. But some are worse than others.
I think I don't want to go too deep into this because I do need to at some point get some sleep. I do feel that lots of fans were talking about Guardiola. I think that's how you say it. I'm trying to get it. Lots of fans were talking about Bastoni. We're talking about players that are like 60, 70, 80 million. I've always maintained, guys, I didn't ever see Spurs in any way, shape, or form spending that on a centre-back. So I genuinely believed it would be from the pool of Torres, Lenglet, Undikar, Bremer. And as much as we can all sit there and go, Undikar, who, listen, I really like him.
Yeah, good player.
I would trust that Conte and his team would have done their homework on Clement Lenglet, and I'm happy to give this guy anyone who joins, you give him a chance, right? But I think him on the left, Romero on the right, and Dyer in the middle. Unless we buy another centre half, it's an upgrade. It's an upgrade on last year, so I don't think it's the worst. But what it does tell us, guys, is I just didn't believe anyone that was getting carried away, going, well, we've got 150 million plus sales plus 80 million Champions League money. We can spend 350.
Yeah, but don't you think that might mean that we might go big on another position?
But no, not with no. We know. Look, I know you. We know Levy. We know how they work. I don't think they're going to at all. I've maintained, Kuva, you know this. I've said this from the beginning of the window. I believe our net spend will be in and around 30, 40 million when all is said and done. You look at the moment, right? You've got on a free transfer, Forster and Perisic, right? You've got 25 million for Basuma, and you'll get Lenglet on a loan. Now, we don't know the ins and outs of the deal with Richarlison, but so far, you're not spending.
It's 25 million net. Maybe there's a 5 million loan fee on Lenglet, so it's 30 million net so far.
Yeah, sure. And then you've got the money back that we got for Carter Vickers. Bergwijn's about to go.
Yeah.
Lo Celso will probably go. Winks will. So I don't think I honestly don't think we're going to spend this huge amount that everyone thinks we're going to spend. I've said it all window. I think everyone got well excited thinking we were going to challenge for a title and buy 6 players at 50 million. It was never going to happen for me. And I'm not moaning. I just don't think that's not our MO, is it? It's not what we do.
Especially when you look at the 100 million that's drawn out. And one of the phrases used when drawing that out was to give us greater financial flexibility. Now, if you go and blow all that on players instantly, then where's the flexibility gone? So I think some of it's going to be for more sort of operational costs, the things that aren't necessarily player purchases. I agree with you, Savva. I think we are going to be seeing a few players shipped out, and this is probably what the hold-up is with a lot of it. We're looking to balance the books with players of certain value but no use to the team going out, and a few modest, perhaps Kulusevski, Bentancur types coming in if we're lucky. It won't be anybody that's going to break the bank as much as we want them to.
I agree.
And I really want them to. I'd love to see a Hakimi, a Bastoni, and just go, wow, that's really pulling the trigger. But we're just not going to do, are we? I mean,
I don't believe we are. I believe that if we do spend 60 million on Richarlison, I'm sure there might be a Winks or Dele Alli money or something involved in that. But if it is a flat 55, 60 million, that will be the biggest signing.
Yeah.
That will be the biggest sign of the window. I can't believe in any way, shape or form when people are talking about Waddle, that's how I say it, and we're talking about an 80 million pound for a player with 5 years left on his contract. That's not Spurs. We're not going to do that. But I constantly see on things like Instagram, people go, a potential starting 11 for next year. And I see like Vardiol here and Bastoni next to him there. And, Hakimi at right wing back. And I'm thinking, come on, guys, how long have you supported Tottenham? This isn't what we do. But guys, look,
very quickly on Longley, he does strengthen the team. He is a good, talented player. Is he that marquee signing we wanted? No. But it's on loan. So what's the problem? We can buy him. It gets us buys us a year of time to get some funds together, look at a permanent signing. And who knows, maybe in that year, he proves that he's a bloody good player for us.
Agreed.
In which case, we're then getting a very good player at the end of that loan deal who's already bedded in and knows the team well. It makes sense to me on every level, that signing, because it's a loan right now. If it was a permanent deal for, say, 40 million, it's a gamble. This isn't a gamble to me.
Just quickly before we log off, like Luke 14 has said, I could be wrong, but I don't recall top teams loaning players. No buy at the end of it either. I think the difficulty is Barcelona are in a really strange time in their club's history, right? Where players are having to be moved on because they can't get new players in until they get the old players out. Their salary cap. You don't know. Spurs might have agreed to pay 100% of Lenglet's salary, which means they can then bring in Kessie or whoever they're waiting in the background to bring in. I think it's difficult. I think we'll see. Guys, I am going to leave it there. Thank you so much. Really, really enjoyed it. Kuva, I'll see you at the airport on Friday for Krakow. Sean, I hope you have a nice weekend, whatever you're doing.
Thanks, man.
No, guys, absolute pleasure. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you very much. We've had 104 likes and we've had a lot of money raised for charity again tonight. So thank you very much. Thanks to absolutely everyone. Much love. See you soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.